Hi everyone, JP here at Websites for Beginners, and this is the official first big course for 2023, even though we are already in May. And this is a crash course in WordPress, website making, including Blocksy and Brizy for total beginners. Now, this isn't different to the playlist that you will find on the YouTube site. So if you go to YouTube, you will find it already here at the website Crash Course 2023. And you can also go to playlists and then view all the videos from there. This is a compendium, a combination of all 15 videos, because some people prefer a long video which they can just let play from the beginning to the end, whereas others prefer a playlist where they can dial in on the lessons they want. Thanks for all the support as always. Remember to give us a like, also subscribe to YouTube video, visit us at w4b.io, and I'll see you in the next course. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good wherever you are. Welcome to Websites for Beginners. If it's your first time to this channel, welcome. If you've been a subscriber, you would probably ask me, JP, where you've been? Busy working, busy. So why am I opening this new series for total beginners, WordPress and making your own website 2023? I've recently been contacted by so many people saying, can you do this? Can you help us with this? And it always surprises me to realize how many newcomers there are to the world of making websites, and that the tutorials, even the plethora of tutorials on YouTube, just doesn't address that need. So I am JP. I've been training for as long as I can remember, and I hope to help bring you from someone who knows nothing about websites, no coding, no experience, into making your website for yourself. Or if you are interested in making a company, maybe making websites for other people in the future. But I think begin by just practicing by yourself. I'm going to show you tools in the next videos that you can use to practice for free. Everything we're going to do here, you can do at home without spending a cent. And then once you want to go the extra by publishing online, that's where you will have to start taking out a little bit of money. So I have a few notes that I don't forget and don't talk too long. I've already talked about who I am. So this series is a little bit different to what I usually do. Usually we take a page, I show you exactly what to do, and we go from the beginning to the end. But I try to figure out how I can get you to build a page very quickly with zero knowledge of WordPress, which is the platform that we will be using, combined with a theme, which is called Blocksy, combined with a page builder, which is called Brizy. So even though we are using WordPress to create this website, think of WordPress like PowerPoint, and then think of Blocksy like the theme, the style that you can choose in PowerPoint, what colors, what fonts. And then think of Brizy as a plugin that you can put into PowerPoint to create additional content for your slides. That is why sometimes it feels a little bit weird, because other systems like Wix, Squarespace, etc., they give you everything in one go. You don't need to install anything. Everything is already there. But the benefit with WordPress is it's an open field. So many people are contributing to it. So you get a lot of super stuff, and the world is your oyster. You can choose what you want to bring in it. Just remember, with that, you get a lot of crap as well. So we try to filter through all that noise and just give you the basic stuff. We're going to be using WordPress because it's super popular, super flexible, and there's a lot of options. And I'm going to give you all the tools that you can use to build out a website. And we're going to be making a one-page website. One pages are excellent if you just have a small little business like a coffee shop or a barber shop. You don't need 5 pages for it. One pages are also good that on mobile display. You do know that when you're on a mobile and you're looking at something, it's much easier to scroll down than it is to scroll up. Every time, click on the menu and navigate to another page. So it's one of those things that you can consider. One page is actually very much easier to interact with on a phone than constant jumping between pages. Even though I make multi-pages all the time, I'm just trying to explain to you, don't feel sad that you're just going to be making one page. So who are you? You are a person who's never touched WordPress or any website design. You've heard of it. You may have tried a little. You have no technical skills. You don't know how to code, maybe no design skills as well. But you've heard, Sally, that you can actually create a site without any of that. And that is true. A lot of these platforms that you see and tutorials online will tell you no coding. And then I'm surprised that very soon they are showing you how to add code to your site. Yes, you can do more with code. If you are running a super shop like Amazon, you definitely need a developer to run that for you. You don't need Amazon level. You'll do it with no coding, no experience, and you're going to save tons of money. And I'm talking too much, but I really want to understand this is a total beginner's course, but with a catch. I'm not going to explain each and everything for you because I want to, in this specific series, take you very quickly to a level where you feel you've achieved something. It's outcome-based. And then in future series and other videos, I will show you detailed stuff as to what is a permalink, what is a slug, why do you do this and why do you do that. I've said we want to get to outcomes as soon as possible, but before that, you need to actually set up WordPress. And to do that, mostly you need a host. Again, I'm not going to explain to you what is host or how you should choose a host. All I have to tell you is that you will need a host, but a host is going to cost you money. And I mentioned a few moments earlier that I don't want you to spend any money. So there's a solution. And I'm going to give you two options. In the next video, I'm going to tell you how you can do it on your computer with a little software called Local. Then after that, in the third video, I'm going to tell you how you can do that with a host that gives you a free option to design it online called Wordify. You can look at these two options and decide which one works for you. I go with the second one. Why? And the reason is, for some reason, the local ones on your computer is just a little bit slower. The ones that are online, they just go much, much quicker. Both of them are available. Both of them are popular. And I'll show you both. You can choose, but to follow along, you will need to install WordPress. Last one, I'm going to, for our final website, add images to the website that you can download. They won't be available at this moment of this video. They'll be available in a week or two's time, but you can download them. They all come from a brilliant website called freepik.com. These images you can download from them for free and you can use them with the license agreement. I'm going to provide them in the folder for you to download, but I want you to know that they come from Freepik and that you just cannot use them as your own. You need to go and actually register on Freepik and maybe download it from there. The reason I'm giving it to you and not letting you go through that process is because once you download it from Freepik, these images run huge. They are mega big. And when we are working with websites, we don't want big images because if they are big in size, they slow us down and they make search engines like Bing and Chrome very unhappy. So what I've done, I've optimized these images already. I've cut them down to smaller size. And I have exported them into a low quality so that their size is small and that we can use them on the website and everybody's happy. So remember that link. I will post it again later when we get to the website and we'll be using those images. But just remember, freepik.com. Let's get started. Option 1 is Local by Flywheel. Go to localwp.com, add your info, and then all you need to do is download the app that will allow you to practice along with WordPress for free on your computer. Well, run the installer, and this will take a little bit of time. Once it has installed, then the app will open. You can just run it directly. Go to the bottom left corner where you see the plus, and this is where we're going to add this new website for you. Choose Create New Site, and this is going to be standard settings. And in the next screen, give it a name for your site. Select Continue. We're going to go with Preferred, Continue. And now you give it a login name, your name or a special name, and a password as well. And then select Add Site. This will go through the setup procedure. It will ask some permissions. You decide what you want to do with that. And once it is done, your site will be ready. You'll get this screen. Go to Select WP Admin. When you click on it, it's going to give you the login area. Add your username, your email, again, your password. And when you log in now, it takes you into WordPress. This is how WordPress looks. And we'll get into that a lot in the upcoming videos. But there is an easier way to log in. Go back to the app and then see this area called One-Click Admin. Select it and your name will appear there. You're the only one. And then from here, you can just in the future select WP Admin and it will automatically log you in. This is one option how you can practice and follow along for free with WordPress. In the next video, we'll look at another option and then you can choose between the two, which works better for you. Let's step quickly just back and understand why you need to use one of these two platforms, either local by Flywheel in the previous video, or in this one, I'm showing you Wordify. For WordPress to work, you need a server in which it is installed. You can either do it on your own, which is the previous video, local, or you can use a host. Hosts, however, want to charge you something, but Wordify gives you an option to sign up and then put it on a developer site for free, which means you can practice along completely for free, do everything you need to do, and then at the very end, you can decide to delete it, or you can decide to actually go paid and have the site fully live. Sign up, sign in, sign up, sign up, sign in. One note though that I have discovered that many times when people sign up, your account isn't immediately active. They want to verify it. If you do see that you cannot access it, just be patient, have a look the next day. And if you need to start urgently, go with the local by Flywheel and you can come back to Wordify later on. So create a new site, give your site a name, add a temporary URL, choose a server country. Now, this is usually the one closest to you. I play around with them. I'm never sure which one is closer to South Africa. You can choose. Then from these boxes, you're going to choose Dev Site. This is a developer site, which you can do for free. Select Add Site. This will go through the process of setting it up, just like the local by Flywheel app did for us. Once done, go all the way to the right and click on the WP icon. And here you're going to get two things. Username, which is Wordify, which is easy to remember. And then you're going to get the password, which you have to copy. From here, you continue to the site, and then it will ask you a different dialog box to what you used to log in. Type in Wordify and paste the password and log in. And bazinga, it is exactly the WordPress that you have seen when we did local as well. So the WordPress installation doesn't matter which host, doesn't matter which app, the WordPress is always going to be exactly the same. You won't be able to share this link with anyone. You won't be able to test it on other devices, but you can do so within this browser where you are logged into this Wordify site. So now that you've seen it, you can maybe try both. I told you the downside to local is that it does run slower. If you don't mind that 1 or 2 or 10 additional seconds that you have to wait, then you go for local. Otherwise, you have the option to use Wordify. Make your choice. Let the games begin. Let's do that in the next video. Welcome back. You should be logged in, and this is what you should be seeing on your screen. Or if you are using a future version of WordPress, you should be seeing something a little bit differently. And as promised, what we're going to try and do in this series is get you moving forward very, very quickly so that you can start building something and feel that you've accomplished something. I've said it before. Everything when you start new looks very intimidating, and there's no point in me showing you each and every little thing. This is here, that is over there, and this is what happens when you press this button. Let's get to an outcome, and then later on we can go into that nitty-gritty stuff. I am going to show you immediately how you can build out a page that you can display on the internet. So the first thing we do is we go to Pages here on the left, and when you select it, just click on it, it's going to open a library or a list of pages that you've created. And you should be familiar with this. Websites often don't contain just one page. There are many pages, and each of those pages are created independently. I'll reference PowerPoint a lot. PowerPoint is a very good example. PowerPoint has many slides, but you can only project one slide at a time. Now, what we have here already is you see that there are 2 pages, privacy policy and sample page. WordPress believes that every time you install it, you need to bring in these 2 pages. You're not going to use them, you can delete them, but we want to get to the outcome. Let's create our new page, and we're going to click on Add New. And what's going to happen is WordPress is going to create this new page for us with a little intro screen. Welcome to the block editor. Now, the block editor, also known as the Gutenberg editor. It's named Gutenberg because while this was in development for this WordPress, it was given the name Gutenberg and it stuck with people from that time. But strictly speaking, it's just the WordPress editor, or, well, also called the block editor. Don't let this terminology get the better of you. There are so many words and phrases in website design that I completely disagree with. Right, so you can go through this little introduction screen. Welcome to it. I'm going to show you, instead of going through all of this, what does this mean? But the first thing you need to do is actually give your page a title so that you can identify it. And let's just call this My First Try. You can give this page any name, My First Try, not page. Okay, My First Try. And you need to save this page. In WordPress, saving a page so that you can see it is called Publish. And you will find the Publish here in the top right-hand corner. All you do is click on it, and then you'll be confused. It says Publish again. This is to make sure that you are really confident you want to publish it, because once you publish a page, anyone who's got the link to that page may find the page. In a way, this is highly unlikely, because why on earth would someone have a link to a page that you've just created and they don't even know it exists? But there are those sneaky little scoundrels out there, especially if you're a big company like Apple, etc. They're constantly looking for those unpublished pages because maybe there's some leaked product info. You are not there. You are still a million years away from that, myself as well. So you can safely go ahead and publish pages. But if you don't feel like that, I'll show you later how to do a draft. So go ahead and publish it a second time. Now we have a page here. And we can go and view this page. How will this page look on the front end? So you see here, it says My First Try is now live, and WordPress is super nice. It says, what's next? It gives you the page address. So this is going to be the page address, and you can copy it, and then you can share this link with other people. Woohoo! Or you can go ahead and view this page on the front end. The front end means how it will look to a visitor to your site. Let's do that so you can get that satisfaction that you've created a new page and you actually know how it looks. So when you click on it, super underwhelming, right? Well, that's it. At this moment, your page only has 3 things. And that is up here, which is an header. Then down here, a footer. And then here in the middle, and then your page title. There's actually a 4th part, which is your page content. So let's go through that again. And I'm going to activate my little, hold on for a moment. I just want to activate my web paint. Alrighty, and let's do it again. So let me show you what we have here. At the top, we have a header section. And this is where your site name appears, as well as the menu that people can navigate around. At the bottom is a footer area. And the footer is very similar to the header, except usually you have some company details in there, contact us details, as well as more links to your pages. In WordPress, WordPress gives us then this area, which is the page title. But then there is the part that we're going to work on now, and that is your actual page content. And that is what the block editor is for, building that out. Let's clear all of this and exit it. Okay. At the top here, let's talk about this section here so you can understand terminology. You will see this little area. Let me highlight it like so. This is the WordPress toolbar. When you view anything on the front end, this will appear at the top, and this will allow you to go back and navigate back to WordPress or edit the page again. So look over here, there's the WordPress, there's edit site, new, and then edit page. What we want to do is go back to this page that we've just created. So all we need to do is click on edit page, and boom, we jump right back into this page editor. Over here, to me, I call it the unseen canvas. Over here is where you're going to bring in your canvas to build out your page. Let me again just give you a visual representation of that. It looks like a huge amount of space here. Actually, no, most of it is confined within this block, within that width. Sometimes you're going to work outside it, but imagine again, a book with margins on the side, kind of this is what is happening here. And this should be standard across all WordPress. You can actually make changes to it, but we are just starting off with it. Type to choose a block. Type / to choose a block. We're not going to do that. Take your cursor, click in there and start typing. My name is JP. This is my first try at making a web page. Now I've added text, and by doing so, WordPress has added a text block for me. That is the container in which this text is appearing. Once I've done this, you will note here at the top, it says update. WordPress recognizes that you've added new content to the page. It will not display this content on the front end unless you save and update the page. Let's do that. Click on update. And after you've done that, next to it, select preview and then preview in new tab. Immediately you begin to understand we are starting to build our page out here. We can add text, and what else can we add? So let's go back and see how we bring in more content. Do so by going to this plus here, toggle block inserter. And this opens all the available blocks or kind of content that you can bring onto your page. You can grab and slide down. You can see we have media, design, widgets, etc., etc., etc. And what I'll do here is that I'm going to select paragraph again. As I hover over it, I haven't clicked or anything. Note that we have that thick blue line that appears on my page. And that indicates that once I click on this block, it's going to drop it in there. So I click on it and see we get that one that we had at the beginning. Type / to choose a block. By default, this is a paragraph block. So I can click in it, and this is my second time to type in a paragraph block. Right, let's save it again. Now, one of the things that I'll always talk about is saving. Trust me, you're going to run into cases where you're going to forget to save. You're going to think this is the modern world. Work is saved. Don't worry. No, make a habit of it. Save all the time. So you can go to update each and every time, but there's a shortcut key for that. On Windows, Control S. On a Mac, that is Command S. So Control S, and you can see it updates. Unfortunately, for the preview, you need to go every time and select preview in a new tab. Or I can just go to the page that is still open in my tab and refresh that. And you see here, and this is my second time to type in a paragraph block. Okay, that's super boring. You can bring in text, you understand that. Let's spice it up with something like an image. So we click here again on this block inserter, and we'll find the media and image. You see again that blue line appears there. Just click on image and it drops it onto the page. Let's select upload. This will open the Explorer or Finder from where you can upload an image. Now you can upload any image here. We're not going to be image specific, so I'll just select an image from my image folder and I'll click on open, and it drops the image onto the page. As this image also includes text with it, you can see that the stock photo comes in with this little description here at the bottom, which we don't want. Notice everything that has happened as I brought in this image. Here at the top, we have this toolbar. This toolbar gives us a lot of control over what this image can do. Apply duotone filter. What is this one? Align the image. You can change the settings of the alignment. You can add link. You can replace it. And then here on the right, you have an inspector. Click outside and the image is deselected. For all three of these that we've brought in, if you click on them, you'll see it opens a paragraph block. And here at the top right-hand corner, it will say paragraph. Second one, again, you see paragraph. Click on the image and you see it says image here at the top with the settings for it. Save it, Control Command S. Let's go to the front, refresh our page, and there you go. Now you've built out your first page, you're starting to feel really good about yourself. But now I'm going to tell you something which may surprise you. I don't like this editor. This editor in WordPress has come a really, really long way, and it has improved a lot over the years. But what has happened in distant past is that it wasn't such a great editor at all. And a lot of coders and smart people said, wait a minute, can I not create something that I can change this out with? Something better, something a little bit more friendlier that people can use and quickly design their web pages with. And that's what happened. And that's been happening for over a decade already. So instead of using this default built-in editor within WordPress, you can actually go ahead and find another app, install it on WordPress, and use that instead. We're going to do that. We're going to use Brizy. That is a great page builder / site builder. So you can make pages and you can make the entire site with it. But we're going to use the free version so that you don't need to spend any money and that you can practice along all the way to the end. There is, though, a lot that you can explore within this block editor. I'm not going to go into it because for me, there are so many limitations still that I find it often a little bit frustrating. There are other plugins that use the block editor that are superb, like Stackable and a number of others that I really think do a great job. But for me, when it comes to intuitiveness, is there such a word? Intuitiveness and just ease of use. Brizy, WordPress, page builder, site builder is a great option, and that's what we're going to do. Before we get there, we need to understand what is a theme and why a theme is so important in WordPress. Next up. In the previous video, I left you with the question, what is a theme and why is a theme so important? Now, this is how our page currently looks. Well, not really. If we go to the front end, this is how our page looks. And this is the content that we have used to build out this page. Leave the front end open. So that tab that is there, leave it open. Do not close it. This is the preview. You can just refresh it every time you make a change. But what I want you to do is go back to WordPress and then only select this W for WordPress. And it takes you back into the back end where we can work and set up a few things. Now, I mentioned the theme. This is an age-old thing with WordPress. It confuses the blue Monday out of most people. What is the purpose of a theme? And we'll talk about that quickly. Go to this part in your navigation sidebar that says Appearance and select Themes. And you will see that there are these 3 that come pre-installed on the site. One is called 2023, 2021, and 2022. What WordPress does is about every year, not always every year, it releases a theme that you can use for free. And the theme is basically a setting on how things will look, the fonts and the colors and the size and how the images will display. Currently, we have activated 2023. And if you look at the front, you can see this is how it looks. What I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and copy our URL and I'll open a new tab and paste that so we can have another one open. Go back and hover over, what is this, 2021 and select Activate. WordPress is going to activate 2021 and deactivate 2023. So WordPress is using a different theme now. Let's go to the newest tab we've opened, refresh this tab, and look at a complete change. We have this green background, and our page title has completely changed with this underline. And you can see the image has also been changed. It's been put here with the caption to center alignment. And look here at the bottom, total different kind of footer that we have here. Compare it to the first one. Let's do one more. I'll copy again our link, another tab, and I'll paste it. We go into WordPress and activate 2022 this time. Click on Activate. Third theme, let's go to this one. Refresh. And this one feels very similar, right, to this one. But you can still see, look at the differences in the font, the text, and that is the theme. The theme changes what you are doing in terms of the font. It doesn't change the content. So your images do not change as you change the theme. Your text, the actual content does not change. What changes is how it is designed. The font, the size, and the spacing, and the width, all of those things. Rule number one, you don't want the theme telling you how it should look. It's just not good. You should go ahead and style it out yourself, even though the theme can do a very good job. Rule number two is that you don't want to use any of those default themes that come with WordPress. You want to use your own. And now you are going to enter the scary world of themes because, oh boy, there are so many of them. There are free ones. The premium ones are better. Don't get sucked up into this. Go ahead with one of the recommended themes, and there's a few of them: Neve, Astra, Ocean WP. I'm going to use one here called Blocksy. Blocksy has one of the best free themes on the market, period. They also have a premium version. We're going to work with only the free one in this series. So what I need to do is I need to go get that theme and bring it in. Great thing is that if things are for free within WordPress, you don't need to go to some website and download it. WordPress has their own little database. We call it the WordPress repository, in which these themes are stored. So the people who develop these themes are third-party developers. They put it there, you go search for it, and you just install it directly here on WordPress. Like I said, there are many. Give you a quick overview. Click up there on Add New. And that's going to open up the WordPress repository of themes. And you can just grab the slider here on the right and you will see, oh man, look at that. Where do you begin? You begin by listening to me and do a little bit of research, if you don't trust me, on most popular themes or best themes for WordPress, because there's a load of junk out there, really. I've burned my fingers a lot. And those that I've mentioned to you, for example, Hello Elementor, very good theme if you are using the Elementor page builder. Astra, very good one. Ocean WP, I just mentioned that. Cadence, brilliant. Neve, brilliant. Generate Press, oh, I can go on. And then the one we are going to use is Blocksy. Often you're not going to find it this easy and you won't know where it is. It may be hidden, so you have to go and search for it. To do that, go here to search themes and we type in Blocksy. And then it's going to search and there's only one Blocksy. Install this theme. So from the WordPress repository, we are installing it and now it will be within your dashboard. That was quick. Don't click on Activate yet. Let's go again here in the sidebar on the left to Appearance and select Themes. And now you will note that we have 4 themes. We have 2022, which is currently the one that's activated, 2021 and 2023, and then Blocksy appears here now. Before I activate Blocksy, let's open our tab, the last one. I'll copy the address again, open a new tab and paste it. And this one is currently 2022. And then go to Blocksy and click on Activate. Right, and Blocksy should activate for us now. And then go to the front end and refresh. And this is how Blocksy looks, completely different. In many cases, people are a little bit underwhelmed by many of these professional themes because they don't look as glamorous as the ones that come with WordPress pre-installed. And the reason is that they take away a lot of those preset design so that you can go ahead and design it yourself. These are the tabs we can close now. We've lost that anyway. And we go again to Appearance, Themes. And what we should do is get rid of these other themes as well. Note though that it says there, thanks for installing Blocksy, you rock. And then it says you can install the Blocksy companion. We'll talk about that one soon, but let's delete these other themes just to clean up quickly. I'll click here on 2022. You see delete here in the bottom right-hand corner. Click on that. It's going to ask you if you are sure. I'm pretty sure. And you do the same for the other 2. It's just good to clean up your little workspace so that you don't get lost. And if you one day sit and cry long tears over those themes that you've deleted, you can just go again into the WordPress themes repository, what we did, and search for them and bring them back. So what has happened to that page that we've created now? Let's go to Pages and select it. And we still have these 3 pages. And you will see this one, my first try, is still there. If I select it, it will take me back into the editor. Now this time, there's a few things that have changed here. The first is that you can see our canvas area here looks different, and that is because we've brought in Blocksy theme, and Blocksy will determine how this is going to display according to their theme. Also note that here in the toolbar at the top, you will see that there's a Blocksy icon that appears that allows you to make settings to it. But what is still important is that everything that you build on this page is still done with this block editor, which is actually something I said previously that we don't like. We want Brizy for that, right? So we need to go one more step and install Brizy Page Builder so that instead of using this editor on this page, we can use Brizy. And there are so many page builders out there. You can again go and Google them. Great ones, new ones coming onto the market all the time. I'm choosing Brizy because I think it's a super quick interface to get used to. Once you start using it, you're going to find it's really intuitive. So now we've changed the theme. Why did I change the theme? Why did you change the theme? And the reason is that we need a good control over this area up here, the header, which is controlled by the theme, right? So we want to have a nice looking header when we are creating our website. So we've done that. Same here for the bottom, where our footer areas. The theme controls the header and the footer, styling as well. But what Brizy is going to do is Brizy is going to control this area for us, the page. So while we are using Blocksy theme to display the header and the footer and the overall site design, we are going to use Brizy Page Builder to build out this content in the middle because it's much easier than using the block editor. Let's clean this out and then go ahead and find our good friend Brizy. Let's install Brizy, and again, just like before, see how quickly you can build something out with it. We have to go back into WordPress, click on the W, and that takes us into the back end. And Brizy is a plugin, something that you plug into this WordPress that you can use to enhance your experience. Think of it as apps on your phone. If you click on plugins, you may have some plugins already installed. This all happens depending on the host you are using. Many of them install this before the time. Hello Dolly is often there. Let's leave them there so we don't get sidetracked on it. But what we want to do is bring in the Brizy plugin, Page Builder. To do that, go here and click on Add New. And then, just like before, go to the search part and search for Brizy. Brizy appears here on the left, Brizy Page Builder, and same procedure like before. Click on Install Now, which will install it first into your WordPress framework so that you can use it. But it is not activated yet. Now go ahead and click on Activate. Once you activate it, Brizy will now become part of your work environment and you can use it. And note here under the plugins that it appears over here and that you also have the option to go pro and use the premium version. We don't need that for this tutorial. Even though the pro has some super awesome features, we're not going to need that here. So what does this mean for us? Let's go back to that page that we've created, Pages, and my first try, and select it. And there is only basically one small change on this entire page. And can you spot it? 3, 2, 1. Yes, it's this button up here that says Edit with Brizy. Once you click this button, Brizy will replace the WordPress editor as the content that should display on the front end. Let me say that again. This is the current WordPress block editor content that we've seen here. Once I click Edit with Brizy, Brizy is going to become the default editor. Move, what is this thing called, the WordPress block editor away. So this content will disappear. It may still appear on this page, but it will not appear on the front end. Let me show you how that's going to happen. So first, click on Edit with Brizy, and everything is going to change. There is spinning wheels of Brizy in the middle, and what it is doing, it is loading the Brizy Page Builder. And your whole world changes, complete new user interface, everything looks different. Go to the tab with the front end still open and let's click here on Refresh. and see if anything has changed. And it has changed. And the reason for that is because there's nothing here. This page is completely empty. Hence, my lord, this page is also empty. Let me show you how you quickly build up. There it is. Start building your page, Bob. Click there, and it opens a block manager. This is like many of the things that you've seen on many of the apps. It gives you these templates ready to use. You don't have to think. You don't have to be a massive designer. You can just go ahead and click on them, and it drops onto the page like this one. Let's choose the first one, which should be the same for you. Click on it. And this is also called a block. So the block drops onto the page, and you can see this area. This is the block. And we have an image here, and then we have text here, and then there is a sign up little form here. Just like in WordPress, every time you make a change to your page and you want it to reflect on the front end, you need to save it. So we do that by going here to the bottom right-hand corner where it says update. Similar to WordPress, you have a shortcut key, Control-S, Command-S, and then to preview it, you can simply click next to it here on preview. And there's also a shortcut key for that, Control-Shift-P, Command-Shift-P. I use that all the time. But instead of doing this, let's just go to the tab here that is currently still open, and I will reload this page to show you that block is being brought in. How awesome. Beyond splendid. So how do you make this block yours? Hover over this heading text, and you can see there's a little bounding box. Click in it, and you see your cursor appears there. You can go ahead and select the text. You can also use a shortcut key like Control-A, Command-A, and type in my first web page, and then just click outside. Look at that, you've changed it. Let's go to the next text here. I'll triple click to select all the text, and I'll just show you this little quick tip. Whenever you click on it, you just put the cursor there. If you double click, you select the word. But if you triple click 1, 2, 3, you select the entire paragraph. I have always wanted to become the master of my domain. Seinfeld. Right. And then we can do the same here at this top. I'll triple click to select it all, and I'll put it on caps. New exploration for me every day. How about changing the image? Click on the image, and you see again we have a little toolbar. Go all the way to the left, and here next to image you see there is the image. So what you do is you click on that to delete it, and then you select, and it opens up our media library for us. This tab says upload files. It will always be clean, but you can also access the current library on your disk already. So if I click on media library, what do you expect to see? Wow, remember that image we brought in? Every time you bring an image into WordPress, even if it's a page builder, WordPress is going to put it nicely in the library in case you want to use it later. So why not use it now? Click on it until you see the check mark, and then in the bottom right corner, click on select. And there we go, that image is brought in as well. Let's save it. You remember Control-S, Command-S, or go to the bottom right-hand corner. And this time, let's go ahead and click on this preview. This is not a great image, doesn't have great resolution, but at least you understand how you can do this. If you go back into Brizy, now you build out the rest of the page. Click here on add a new block. And on the left, you will see we have categories. I can choose, let's say, features. I want to talk more about my services or my products. Here's a nice one over here on the right. I'll select it. And it drops that block below the one that we've just created. And you see now we have little icons. We have all these 4 features or services that we can add here. We just changed the text out like I've shown you earlier. Let's bring in another block. This time, let's talk about a gallery, images. I'll select gallery, but our website is becoming a little bit boring. Everything is just a white background. So how about putting it on dark? You see here under styles, light, dark, and it's going to give us dark alternatives. Before I drop in, just note the pro, right? You understand how that works. Pro means you cannot use it. If you want it, you have to pay for it. we're going to stick with the free stuff. So let's use this one here. You can choose any of these. And now let's just save our page so that you can just have a look at how this is displaying on the front end. What is in here? Why we don't see an image here? Control S, Command S. And we click here on the preview. It opens another tab with another preview. So you can close these two. This is the one we did. Okay, there is that image. And look how quickly we are building out this page. Should give you goosebumps by now. A few more features here. Let's go back into the Brizy builder. I want to take this block here, the image gallery, and I want to actually put it between these two blocks. To move it, go to the sidebar on the left, and then second from the top, you will see it says Reorder Blocks. Click on it, and it opens this panel generating thumbnail previews of each and every block. So very nice visual. Go to this block, drag to reorder. So click, hold, and drag it up one. Hey, very, very nice. And in case you've made a mistake, you don't like the block that you've brought in like this one over here. The block have settings that you access by going to the top right corner of the block where you see this little settings icon. Select it. And from the right, just click delete and it has removed that block. Now you go back to the block manager by adding a new block. Let's bring in some more text. This time I'll put it back on light. And let's go with this one with a number of features again. Just the names, the days of the week, minus which one? Minus Monday. All of this is good and well using these pre-made blocks, but it is actually extremely important that you know how to build from scratch. Why? Because when you start making changes to many of these pre-made blocks, you're not going to always understand how that was made. And when you try and put in your own stuff, it's going to get very glitchy. And that is why you need to know how to build from scratch. So though we've built out everything by ourselves, let's begin building from scratch. We'll use a few pre-made blocks as well so that you can get used to it and begin building out our page for our website exactly the way we want to. Welcome back to Websites for Beginners with me, JP, and we are busy with this crash course for helping you get your website up and running. And as we said, now we're going to start building from scratch so that you can get into the builder and know how you can create your own website. Let's have a quick look at the website that we will be creating. This is a coffee shop one-pager, and the reason I'm doing a coffee shop is because it's one of the first ever projects that I did. So I always, for sentimental reasons, go back to coffee shop and just do that. We have a 5-section coffee shop page that we're going to create, and each of them we're going to create from scratch so that you really can get the feel for how the builder works. Let's have a quick look at that. The first section block at the top is what we call a hero section. This is very common on websites. You see this all the time. A hero section is this big little block at the top with a nice image and some big bold text. The idea is that any visitor to your site should immediately know what your site, your product, your service is about when they see this. If not, you've failed and people may move on. They don't really get the feeling for what your website is about. And this is what we're going to be creating. I'll talk about the images that I'll share with you very soon. Below this, a little bit more about the shop. And this is also a very standard kind of block that you get, an about us kind of block. And then we have a gallery section with 3 images, very important images for your site. A site with just text is boring. Then we have the oh so ever popular testimonial section. Is it ever real testimonials? I hope they are. But what we have in Brizy is called a block slider. So you can see that the entire block slides and give you another block. This is pretty awesome because you don't get this kind of functionality in free versions on the market. So getting this in the free Brizy builder, wow. And then below that, very important, which is a contact form area. Again, a feature from Brizy that blows the socks off the other free builders on the market is that it gives you a free form builder. Now, this form builder, where people can put their name, email, and send you a message, is really important. I think most websites should have that, especially if you are selling a service or you want people to reach out to you so that you can communicate with them. This is what you're going to need. 5 sections, that's all. Future tutorials and other tutorials here on the channel already boasts a lot of what you can do more. The reason why there's always new tutorials is because WordPress, Brizy, Blocksy, all of them are adding new stuff all the day. Things are changing all the time. New tutorials have to come up to update the old stuff. And that's why all of this, the blogging part, the e-commerce part, the learning management system part, which is online e-learning, will update that all in the coming months. Apart from this looking good on a desktop display, it's also very important that this looks good on a mobile display. And this is something that many newcomers to the world of website creation is confused about. Wait, there's something else going on here. A lot of, I will say, traditional, but even new people designing websites spend so much time on making this perfect desktop block, and they have animations and all kinds of brilliant little sparkly things happening. And then when they view it on a mobile, it's like, this doesn't work. Mobiles is basically very dumbed down versions. It has to interact very quickly. So as I scroll through this presentation on the mobile version, you can see it looks very different. Where things used to be next to each other, they are now stacked on top of each other. And that's a very standard feature in mobile. You can see here how we already have a slight space problem here with the testimonial sections. It still works, but that is what happens with mobile. So don't spend all your time on creating this amazing interactive strange with all kinds of animation and effects for your desktop. It will not work on your mobile. Rather focus on something minimalistic, which is what I usually convey. And you will also see that I don't use a lot of animation. Some websites are like a circus. When you go on there, things just come flying in at you all the time. I want to say very amateurish, but I don't want to step on anyone's feet here. But try and avoid that because it has absolutely no impact if everything on the page just comes flying to you at all time. Let's talk about the images. In the description below, there is a link. Click on the link and you can download the images I've used here. To keep it fair, I want to go to freepik.com because I got it from there. You can get it from there. What you do is you go to it and you can search, let's say, a coffee mug, and they have a free version and a premium version. If you don't want to use their premium version, by all means, you go to free. And all the images that you will be downloading from the link that I've put in the description below are free ones. So you will not get in any trouble. But I really want to give them a shout out. My opinion, for the price that these guys charge, you can't get better on the internet, period, for the price. And they've just added videos recently. So if you're looking for stock videos as well, wowee. Now, this is a free image. You click on it and you download it. And this is where the trouble starts. Once you've downloaded this image, they easily run 20 megabytes to 40 megabytes. You don't want this image over 200, 300 kilobytes on your website. I am working on bringing tutorials specifically for people who just work by themselves on how you should work with images. I think that catches a lot of people off guard when they start making their first website is how complicated images can get. I just get the image and I post it. You run into two kinds of problem with images. Either the image is too big, or the image is so small, somebody forwarded to you via WhatsApp. And what WhatsApp actually does is the moment you send an image, it actually downsizes the image. Now you get this little image that you need to put on the website and make it look good. How can you do that? Yes, there are tools for that. We're not going to cover it. And that's why I've decided that the images we will use, all of these guys, let's just go back here. Almost done. I just want to show you very soon how to download the images. And below that, we have this spoon with the coffee and the ground coffee. And then we have these 3 images as well as these 3 testimonials, people who give testimonials. And then we have one more background here. There's one more that I'm going to give you, and that is the Favicon. Up there, you see that little bean in a white little circle. That is that little logo that you usually see in the top of the tab of your browser, like Chrome or Edge. That's the one, Favicon. We'll talk about that. Great, banana. So what happens? Once you click on the link, it will download automatically for you the creatives. I refer to them as creatives. It's stuff that you will be using. It's about 1.25 megabytes, not big for all of them. I've downloaded the zip file, open them, and then you should know, just drag this folder and drag it to wherever you need it. You're going to use it. I drag it into downloads. And from here, you will see the images appear all in my Explorer or your Finder. You can make it bigger if you want to see it. Now, what you need to do next, let's go into WordPress. So we worked last, this was the front end. I'm going to close it. Then we go back to Brizy. How to exit from Brizy into WordPress. Go here to the bottom and click on More, and then click on Go to Dashboard. If you get a pop-up that says any unsaved, make sure that you save first before you edit. From here, we go to the WordPress, click in the top left-hand corner, and then we select Media. You can just click on Media within the navigation sidebar. Here are 6 images, and these are the 6 images that we have worked with so far. Every time you bring in an image or every time you work with a pre-made block, those images are automatically loaded into your media library. Now, you don't only need to bring in images. You can bring in video, you can bring in documents, Word, PDF, and you can also bring in zip files. What we want to do is bring in all of those images that you've just downloaded and add them here. To do that, just select here at the top, Add New. Drop files to upload or select files. And if you can drop it and your folder is already open, why make your life difficult? Let's do that. We select everything and click, hold and drag and drop just 10 images. Awesome. And it will go through the little progress bars. Once that is done, all your images are in the media library. Splendid. There they are. Now we can start using them. Let's go back into Brizy, select Pages, and you will see here where we have created my first try. There is a quick edit link. Quick edit link, yes. And it says Edit with Brizy. Instead then of clicking on my first try and then going into the WordPress editor and then selecting Edit with Brizy, we simply select Edit with Brizy from here in the quick link. And this brings us back here onto the page that we've been. And now we have brought in the images. I've explained a little bit about images. I've shown you the website that we will be creating. Let's start with that hero section. Hi, JP here at Websites for Beginners. We're going to be creating the hero section. If you haven't downloaded the images yet, make sure you do so. If you don't know how, follow the video in this series just before this one. We're going to start from scratch. We already have this content on the page that we brought in earlier. I want to get rid of it. You can go to the block settings at the top and select the delete function. There's an easier way to clear out the entire page if you want to do so. In the bottom where you see the page options toolbar, click on that and you will see at the top, it gives you the option to clear layout. You can do that. And in case you did so and you made a mistake and like, oops, you can undo it. So Control Z, Command Z, or simply click here in the page options toolbar on undo, and it will bring all of those back. So all is not lost. Of course, we want to clear them also. Let's go ahead and clear layout. Start building your page, click in the middle, and we're creating from scratch. So we select Create Your Own. I usually begin by bringing in the background image first so that I know what kind of colors I have to use on the background image. Go to the block settings and from the toolbar, you select background and here you will see image. This opens up the media library and we select this one, which is our hero. I titled it hero and then click on select and this will drop the image for us in the background. Next, we apply an overlay. This is also very common, is to add some color over it, a dark one or a light one. From the toolbar next to the image, you will see colors. Select it and I don't want to use any of these preset colors. And I can bring in a code here, but I'm going to show you a cool little trick here. And that is how you can select a color from the image on the page with this little dude down here, or dudes, and that is the color picker. Click on it, and the color picker will now, as you hover over the image, give you the option to choose a color. I like this kind of blue-gray that is here within the saucer. So I'm going to click on it. And once I click on it, it applies that color over the image. So what's the point of bringing in the image if I'm going to just take it away with the color? The point is that I'm going to go to this slider here on the right, which is the opacity slider. 100% opacity means the color is solid, but as I drag it down, you can see the image comes through. I apply basically transparency. I reduce the opacity. There is a percentage, and I'll put it on around 80 to 85. A lot of mistakes are made here by putting the percentage too low, and then it still doesn't look good. But to start off with, around 85 is usually good to start with. Now, I want to bring in elements to build out my section. First, I will need text element, because if you look here and we go to the page that we are creating, let's go to the top. We have this organic cafe, then we have a little description, and we have a button. Let's do that. So we need a text element. Click on the plus in the middle, it opens the elements drawer, and then under essentials, click hold on the text element and drag it and just drop it there in the middle. To interact with it, simply click on it, and that brings up the toolbar for us. The first thing I'm going to do is change the color so that we have contrast, that we can read what's going on here. I'll go to the colors and then select white. And just by putting your cursor in there, all of the text will be white. Next, I'm going to change the text. You can select the text, or like in my case, I usually triple click. And that text that is there by default, we call it placeholder text or dummy text. Brizy adds that automatically just to give you a visual representation of how the text will look. And we are going to call this the organic cafe, and that is Alt 130. You have to figure out on your computer how to do that little accent mark on the E. Up next is the alignment. I'll put it in the center, and from here we're going to work with the typography. The font I want to use is not here. You can see there are a number of fonts here that you can choose from, but the font I want to use is not here. It's called Caveat Brush. This is a Google font, and the wonderful thing is, as long as it's a Google font, which there are thousands of, you can bring them in for free. Click here on the Add New Font, and this opens the font manager. You can see uploading custom fonts. These are pro, but we're interested in the free stuff. So click on Google Fonts, and then you type in font name, Caveat, and you will see it gives me two options, Caveat and Caveat Brush. I'll select Caveat Brush, and then select Continue, and zoom. It's done. You click Done too. Go back and click on the Organic Cafe, go to the T for typography, and you will see Caveat Brush appears here at the top now. That's pretty cool. Select it, and there's the font I want to use. Let's make it bigger. So from the size little field, I'll click hold on the up arrow key. And I'm just going to keep going until I get to a size that I feel comfortable with. And what I'm showing you is reality how I work. There's not always like I know exactly the number that I want to do. I look at it and I'm trying to judge if it looks good. I know it's a little bit uncomfortable, but try and get used to that yourself. The other problem is that sometimes a number like 93 is a little awkward. Let's make it 92. Also try not get too worked up over that 1 pixel. By the way, pixel is the value that we use here to determine the size of how it will look. Under this, there's line height. Just click outside and you will see as I hover over this element, there's a lot of space here at the top and space at the bottom. I don't want that. That space that is added at the top and bottom is the line height. Select it, go to T for typography, and as I click down on this line height, you will see it reduces the space. For headings, I like to keep it at 1. You cannot go lower than 1, but that's where I like to work with it. It just gives me a little bit more control. Next, we want to bring in that little tagline that we have below it, a little bit of a description of our shop. Let's go to Add Elements, click on the plus here in the top left-hand corner, and again, we bring in a text element, and I click hold and I drag it. Let's also put this first on white so that we can see it, and then we can type some text. Your friendly neighborhood coffee shop with the widest selection of brews and locally made pastries. Let's center align it, and now we go to our T for typography to style it out. You can see currently it's set to this font called Overpass. I want to put it on Roboto. Is it here? There's Roboto. I'm going to use Roboto. Problem is that every time I want to use Roboto, I have to go through all of these fonts, which can become a little bit annoying. So can we clean up and get rid of these other fonts so we don't get, the sideshow every time we choose the font? The answer is yes. Click on Add New Font, and then here at the top, select Fonts. First, we will choose the default font, which is currently set to Lato. We will look for Roboto, and where is Roboto? Roboto here at the bottom. Select it, and you will see now it turns to this check in the green circle. The rest, you go ahead and hover at the top right-hand corner and delete it. Of course, not caveat brush. We need that. We remove all of these other peanut gallery members so that we can have a nice clean interface. And if you realize there's a font later on that you actually wanted to keep, then you just go and do the same procedure, add new Google Fonts, add the name, and bring it back. So we only have these two fonts left. Close, and you see nice little clean interface. Select Roboto, and then under weight, I will put it on light. Increase the size to around 20, and we are done with this one. Finally, bring in a button. Click on the Add Elements, and the button is also here under Essentials. Like before, click, hold, and drag. And you see that thick gray line appears. This shows you everywhere that you can drop the button. If you make a mistake and you drop it here, how do you move it to the bottom? Click and hold and just drag it. You see it gives you that blue little circle with the gray lines again. I'll drop it here. To work with the text, double click, and in caps you have to type "find out more." Let's style this one out. So let's find out first what we're going to do here. We want to keep it in the center. Go all the way to the left to the button options and select icon. I don't want the icon for this one, so I'll delete it by clicking on the X. Let's go back to the button function and select next to fill, this one, which gives us an outline. We're going to make changes to the color. However, I want my corners of this button sharp. It looks like it's set to a sharp corner, but you will be tricked. Click on the three dots and you see there's actually a slight little rounded corner applied of 2 pixels. I want it super sharp. So I'll grab the slider and just drag it to 0. Now we have nice little sharp corners. Next, T for typography, we're going to put it on Roboto. It's already on Roboto. I will put it on 16, and then I'll go ahead and put it on normal. To give it a little bit more readability, I'll go to the letter spacing and I'll add this letter spacing, which adds more space between the letters. And I'll take it all the way to 2. Now let's work on the color. So you will see once I select the colors for this button that we have 4 properties at the top: background, text, border, and shadow. Let's first work with the background. There's no background. We use that preset, so you will see that the opacity slider is at 0, 100% transparent. Leave that. Then we go to text, make sure that this one on the right is selected. It is, it's already on white. And then we select border, select the swatch on the right, and now we have the white border. Shadow, select white, and now you will see we have these properties here at the bottom. Follow the properties, 1, and then tab to go to the next one. Tab again, and I put it on 5, tab, and 5. Let's see how that looks. That's right. I think 5 is maybe too much. I'll shift tab to go back and put it on 3, tab, and 3. There we go. So we have that nice little drop down shadow there. But there's also another function to the button or many other elements within the builder, and that is the hover state. So when you bring your cursor and you hover over it, it actually changes. I can already show you. As I take the cursor and I hover over the button, we have that teal color background come through. This is not our color scheme. That's not what we want. So I'll click here on the one below it, which says hover. When I click on hover, you will see it shows us a representation of how the hover will look, and we have the same options to change the colors. But I want to use that color that I've used for the overlay here. I don't want to use any of these colors. To go and copy the name of that color, I'll go to the block, overlay of colors, And this is the color that we have used from the color picker. This is the number of the color here. So I'll double click to select it, then Control C, Command C to copy it, or you can right click and select copy. Now what I want to do is assign this swatch here to this color, but you don't do it here. You do it here all the way to the left in the sidebar where you see the little paintbrush that says styling. Select that. Now click on the second from the left, and in the name field, select it, and then Control V, Command V to paste that color. And that's how we brought in our own custom color, and we assigned it to a swatch, so we don't have to go and copy paste that color code every time. We can just use that locked in color. Go back to the button, click on it, go to colors, select hover, and now for background, we will select this one, second from the left. We go to text, we leave the text on white. The border, we're going to also put it on the second from the left, and that's it. You can leave the shadow on white. So what happens now if I click outside? Now it doesn't feel like anything is changing because it's over the exact same color as the background, but you'll soon see how that's going to work. Now let's spice things up. We're going to make this a full height block, which means it will stretch all the way in the browser screen, which we call the viewport, from the top to the bottom. And to do that, there's a setting in the block. So we go to block settings, and then with the settings icon selected, you go to height and you put it on full height. And now it stretches it to full height. Next, I feel that we need to bring the content a little bit more constrained so that we can break this line into two lines. And we also want the organic cafe, the cafe, to come under it. You'll be tempted to go and do the following. Go to the organic, click on it, and then press Enter, return on your keyboard. You'll be tempted to do that, but do not do that. If everything is part of the same line or paragraph, rather don't add these hard line breaks in it. So I'm going to hit Control Z, Command Z to undo it. What you do is you constrain the whole size of the area in which this content is. And that can be done with the block settings. We go to the block settings, and again, here where you see settings, you will see that we have the width. Currently the width is set to 100%, but look what happens when I click and hold and drag. I am reducing it, and I've gotten it already down to, so 40%. I achieved that line break that I was looking for. 40%. So I'm only using 40% of my available area that I can work in. Two more things though, and this is again design considerations, is that again, all my content is too squashed. When things are too squashed, we lose structure, we lose focus. So it's always good that if you feel things look a little bit too mangled, to try and give them more separation. There are many ways you can do it, but in Brizy, I like to use an element for that. And that element is called the spacer. Click on Add Elements, and under Essentials, you will find the spacer here. Click, hold, and drag, and again, you have the thick gray lines. And I'm going to drop it here between our heading title and that little tag, and you will see it gives us space. Click on it to interact with it, and there's a blue little dot. Click, hold, and drag, and you see as I drag up and down, I'm adding space. If you want to add a specific value, go to the toolbar, click on the settings, and you can add it here. So let's say we want to put it on something like 35, just a little bit of space, we can do so. Click outside, looks a little bit better already. I want to also add space here between this and the button. I can bring in a new spacer, or I can just go ahead and duplicate the one I've just made. And duplication is a very big part of website design. Click on the spacer, and there's the duplicate function. Click, and now click hold on the one that you've just duplicated and drag. Click, hold, drag, and you get the gray lines again. And this time we drop it here. Let's see how that looks. No, I'm going to grab this spacer and reduce it. And no, I'm actually going to delete that spacer. So what I did is I clicked on it and I selected delete, and I'm going to add a little bit more space here. There is it. The other thing I'm not too fond of is the line spacing for this text element. Click on it, go to T for typography, and I'll reduce it to 1.7. A good reference for line height is usually 1.6 to 1.9. And then everything in between is your preference, or also it depends on the kind of font that you are using. So 1.7 is what I'm going to go for here. Oh, wow. So here we have it's done. We can add a little bit of animation to the button. So select the button, go to settings, and you will see that we have at the top here on the sidebar on the right, styling, and we have effects. And you hop over to effects. Let's use slide. And then here from the slide settings, direction, it's already set to up, which is exactly where I want it. And you can play around with the duration and the delay, but I think this works pretty good for me. There's a shortcut if you quickly want to go to the effects. So select the button that you are working with and then hit Control-K, Command-K. And that will take you directly to effects. So you don't have to go through settings, stylings, effects. You can just immediately go to the effects. I haven't saved since I started, which is a big mistake. Let's do that. Control-S, Command-S. And then let's go preview what we've done now. Control-Shift-P, Command-Shift-P. And that opens the new tab in your browser. And all that content that we created in the previous video that is gone, it's replaced with this content. It's a full section all the way from the top to the bottom, and it looks groovy. But we're not done. And it's very important. I almost get goosebumps just saying that, because people forget all the time. You're not done. There are 2 more steps here, or 2 more phases here. You have to go look at tablet and you have to go look at mobile. And this is often where the crocodile tears start, because you've created this great section and now you go to tablet, you go to mobile, and it doesn't work. We refer to this as responsive design. When we refer to a website as being responsive or its responsiveness, we refer to how well this website can adapt from a desktop to a tablet to a mobile device. All builders nowadays have that. Just a few years ago, I'm talking a couple of years ago, it wasn't an included feature. This is pretty new, but you know how quickly new things become old. But it is so new that people still forget to go and check for it. And then you get these websites online, and when you view them on a mobile device, they just don't look good. Go to the sidebar on the right and you see this monitor. If you select it, you will see you have the option for desktop, tablet, and mobile. We go to tablet and there's a few things that change. First of all, it gives us a tablet view. Second thing, it gives us the sidebar on the right open by default. The reason is that there is more real estate now, all this white space, so it can show it all the time. The other big thing that's going to change here is that when you make changes now, I click here on this text, you will see that this toolbar is far shorter, much shorter than the text toolbar that we saw on the desktop. Why? Because these are the only things that you can change for the tablet. Some things you can change, some things you cannot change. And that makes it easy that you don't screw it up, Bobby. I really like this way of doing it. What we need to do now is make sure that this is going to look good on tablet. First of all, you don't need full height sections on tablets. Go to the block settings, click on the settings, and where it says height, we're going to add it to auto. Now it will just automatically adjust to the height of the content. Second thing is, we don't need all the space on the left and the right. This 40% restriction is way too big. I'll take it up to 80%, and it's going to look much better. Well, 80, okay, 65, because I still want that organic cafe to break into 2 lines. If you just click somewhere on the canvas, you're going to have a good idea of how it will look, but I think I need a little bit more space at the top and the bottom, and that space is called padding. I hover with my cursor at the top and you will see a blue transparent bar appears that says 50 pixels. That is the padding applied at the top. Click, hold, and drag with your mouse down and just drag it to around 85 pixels. Same here at the bottom. Hover over it, click, hold, and drag, and take it to around 85. You can also enter this manually. Go to the block settings and select it, and then on the right, select styling. You will see we have padding there. Padding at the top, 85%, that's what I added, and padding at the bottom of 85%. And by default, Brizy gives us 15 pixels on the left and right. Don't care about that. Now we have a look at this. Do we think it looks good? Few things here. Always make sure that your text is at 16, minimum 16. So if you think this was a little too big and you want to bring it down, I can do so. I'll take it to 18. But look at the button. When I select the button, it's not put on normal weight. And this is because there are already some functions baked into the responsive designs for tablet and mobile. You need to come and make those changes here. The other one I also want to change is the letter spacing for the button. I'll take it again up to 2 to give it more space. Yeah, looks good. So we're done. Remember this, stage 3. And stage 3 is the mobile. Go again to the sidebar on the left, select the monitor and select mobile. Now things look very different. They look very mobile-ish. Let's go through the same procedure by not making this a full height section. Click on the block settings and then under height, we say auto. And then for the width, I'm going to put this on 100%. I'm going to use all the space on my little screen for the mobile that I have. If you can understand these few concepts that I'm sharing with you at the moment, then you'll be okay when it comes to mobile design. Use all the space on the mobile design and use a little bit less space on tablet and add a lot of space when you go to desktop. This doesn't look good for mobile device yet. A few things. Let's add the space at the top again for padding. Click, hold and drag, and I'll bring this one to around 75, or I can type it in manually. And I'll do the same here at the bottom. Oh, 80 looks good. The text here for me is a little too big, and you have this responsive control over the text. So what I'll do is I'll click on the organic cafe, go to T for typography, and currently the size is at 93 pixels, that very uncomfortable 3. But I'll click and hold and take it to 73, just to mess with you. We do the same for this text here. Click on it, T for typography, and I'm going to reduce this to 18 or 16. I used to be a big fan of 16. I thought 16 is enough until I started losing my vision. And I also had to start wearing reading glasses. I realized that if I don't have my glasses with me, 18 actually is good for people who's just, your eyesight is not that great. So 18 is my preference nowadays because I make it for myself, but 16 is comfortable enough. So let's go for 16. I'll bring it down to 16. We leave it like that. And then we have the button that we also have to go and change out again. Click on the T for typography, put it on 16, and I'll increase the letter spacing to 2 and put the weight on normal. Let's add a little bit more space at the top and the bottom. So I'm going to bring this to around 120, and then we can put this one on 130 at the bottom. Brilliant. So update. And we go and preview it on the front. So click on preview or Control-Shift-P, Command-Shift-P. But how are you going to view the tablet and the mobile? Every browser, whether you are using Safari, Chrome, Edge, Brave, Firefox, have a function that allows you to see how this will render when you have responsive displays. And that is done through the inspector mode. Don't get scared about what I'm going to show you. Just go ahead and follow what I do. On your keyboard, there is a function key. Function is the F key, F12. So go ahead and hit F12. And this will open the inspector with an alarming amount of text on the right. And I did tell you no coding, and I was critical of people who tell that and then show you coding. But I'm promising you, you don't have to care about that. What you need to look for, and this will change a little bit from browser to browser, is this kind of icon. It says toggle device toolbar. Other will say responsive devices. You will see it looks like a little mobile and a tablet. Click on that, and that is going to put you into this responsive display. Now it puts it on a sticky memory because last time I viewed it, but you will see in the top you have a drop down of these devices that you can look at. So I put it on Samsung Galaxy S20, but let's start with an iPad, and I'll put it on an iPad Air. Does it look good? It looks okay. So no changes. And then the next one, let's go to the iPhone 12 Pro. Yep, I can live with that. Or Galaxy S12. And you see just how little bit it changes between those two devices. Question, why am I doing this when the Brizy Builder already shows me how it will look? Brizy Builder doesn't show you how it will look. In fact, it does a poor job currently. They are working on a system called breakpoints that we will get in the future. But currently, if you look at the width and the height of this compared to how it looks on the Samsung Galaxy, this is way out with the same dimensions. And that's why you need to come and do this. Use these presets here, and you can also click here at the top on responsive. Now you have this handlebar on the top at the right, not the top, at the right. Click, hold, and drag, and you can see how it will display as you make it narrower. And up here in the dimensions boxes, you have these. Now, few phones go below like 360. So if you really want to push it and understand, you can just type there at the top 360 pixels in width. Let's do that. And if it looks good on 360, you are confident that it's going to look good on any other device. A few of them, but there are a number of them that goes as narrow as 360. To get out of this, you can just click again here on the toggle device toolbar. And then to get out of this inspector mode, you can either hit the function F12 again on your keyboard, or you can select the close button there at the top to take you back to the preview. Let's just close these tabs that we have open currently and just focus on our builder. And we go back to our desktop preview. Now, I showed you earlier, you go to the navigation sidebar on the left and you can toggle or choose desktop, tablet, or mobile. There's a shortcut key for that. And I just use those shortcut keys all the time. On your keyboard, you hold Control and then you use the minus or plus key to cycle up or down. But you consider up or down. If you go to desktop first, I'll put it on desktop, and you use Control minus, it will go to tablet. Control minus. See, I hit Control Command minus again. It takes me to my mobile. Now I can go up, use the plus key, Control plus, Command plus, same thing. But I can just keep cycling. So if I'm in desktop and I hit Control Command plus now, it will take me to mobile. And this is a very nice way of quickly going through it. Many people are not comfortable with shortcut keys. And that's why we have that little icon in the sidebar on the left that you can easily cycle through it. So you design, and then you basically have to do design touches afterwards for tablet and mobile devices, but it's worth the extra work. For good measure, always save your work, Control S, Command S. That brings us to the end of this hero section. In the next, we're going to do the About section. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good wherever you are. My name is JP and we continue our crash course for building your first website and going from a complete zero to a semi hero, because it's going to take you some time to get to a full hero, but this channel can help you all the way there. Now we've created this hero section, and next, let's have a look at the demo. We're going to do this, which is kind of like an about section, a little bit more about yourself, about the coffee shop. If you think of a multi-page website, now what is a multi-page website? A multi-page website consists out of more than one page. You are used to it. You go up to the top where the header is and you click from one link to the next. And usually the famous 5 are there. Your home page, and then you have an about section, about us. Then you have services/products. Then you have news/blog. And then the last one is a contact us. These are the 5 pages that you find on most sites. If you don't have a huge enterprise, actually the content on each of those pages will be about this big, and really navigating from one page to the next just to read this amount of content is pretty useless. And that's why we go for the one pager. What we are doing is we're then restructuring that. Here is like a home page. This is an about us section. Below that, a gallery, which is products. And then we add the testimonial, which is usually on the about page or the home page. And at the bottom, we have the contact us section. Let's go and create this. But I want you to note something very important. One of the many features that you're going to find when you are working with any builder in WordPress, and that is that we're going to work with 2 columns, right? We are going to work with content on the left, and we're going to work with the image on the right. And that is done by using an element called the column element. On our page, scroll to the bottom, just below the section we created, and select Add a New Block. And then we select Create Your Own. Click on the plus in the middle. It opens the element drawer for us. And then at the very top, you see we have these two elements. They are called grid elements. We have a row and we have a column. Very much the same. And it's going to be difficult sometimes for you to decide which one you want to use. But in most cases, you're going to be okay with column. We can go into a long discussion later on, not in this tutorial, as to why you sometimes would prefer to choose row over column. But we're going to get away with the column. So click, hold, and drag it onto your block and drop it. And you will see that as I hover over the various sides, left, right, left, you see that blue bounding box. That indicates you are working with a column. The column also has the same settings like elements, and that you access by clicking on this little up arrow here in the top right corner, and it gives you that same familiar toolbar that you've gotten used to now. Now you see each column has a plus, kind of, brings up a fundamental thing that you've learned. If I click on the plus, I can bring in elements. Let's start with the easier one, which is just an image. That's on the right. All I need to do is go to the Elements panel and look for the image, which is in Essentials. And then click, hold, drag the image, and we drop it on the right side. Brizy gives us this placeholder display, which tells us here should go an image. Select it, and we get the toolbar at the top again. Go all the way to the left. Now, as you start working with this, you get an idea of how this toolbar is going to work every time. You select any of the elements that you've brought onto the page, and the main function of that element is going to be on the far left in the toolbar. Select that, and here we have this little screen again that says bring in the image. Click on that, and that opens up the media library. Now, because we already brought in those images, I don't have to upload them. I can go ahead and select the image here, which are these teaspoons with coffee beans and ground coffee, and I select in the bottom right-hand corner. What we want here, though, is that we want this image to display the same full height I brought it in. Currently, you can see if I look here in the thumbnail, I see 3 teaspoons. But if I look here, I only see the middle one and the bottom two, or the top and the bottom, they are cut off. Why that happens is because of the size of the column. Brizy crops your image to fit the column it is placed within by default. Of course, you can override that. I'm going to show you how to do that. Make sure your image is selected, which is the case here, and go to the settings configuration within the toolbar and select that. You can see the width is 100%. 100% in relation to the column. Okay, don't want to go into that, but it's 100% what? 100% in the column it is placed. The height is 50% of the ratio to the 100%. So to get to the 100% ratio that you wanted, just select that 50% and type in 100, and you will see it quickly jumps to the size that we wanted. And there you go. That is what we're going to be doing. Your image is done. You select it, and nothing more that you need to do here. One thing that we will apply here, just if you're interested, is an animation, so it can slide in from the right. If you have a full area like this, like a half column, you can decide whether you want to make the image animate or the entire column. I'll just go with the column. If it's wrapped in something like a column, I'll just stick to the column. I'll select the column here, then I'll go to settings and select effects, which will open the sidebar again for me and give me the effects. And I'll use fade, and I think this is fade right. Yeah, fade right, and that's fine. So I'm going to leave it at that. Then we bring in text on the left. So I click in the plus. I select the plus, or I can just click on the plus at the top on add elements, and then click, hold, and drag the text element onto the page. Below this, I'm going to bring in a little bit more text. So what I'm doing now is, because I already have this part worked out, I have the perfect bean to brew, then I have this little tagline, I have space here, I have line, then I have another text, and then I have a button. So instead of building each one out individually, what I will do here is I'll bring them all in at one time. So I have the heading text, then I have the tagline text, I drag it there. Then I'll have a line, I think maybe space first. Then I'll have a spacer. Then I'll have more text. And let me just drag that in. There we go. And then a button. And I do think that there is maybe space between the button and this one. So I'll just bring in a spacer. Now we can delete it later if it is not needed. So this, of course, doesn't look anything like the thing we want it to be, but that is what we're going to do next. Select all the text in the top by triple-clicking on it or hitting Control-A, Command-A on your keyboard. And we type the perfect bean to brew. From here, we go to the T for typography. We select caveat brush, and I'll increase this all the way up to something like, let's go to around 76. Just click outside and you see all of this space. That is the line height that causes that. Go back to T for typography, and here where you see line height, reduce it. And we're probably going to put this all the way back on 1 like we did previously. The other thing here that I want to do is reduce the spacing between these letters. Go to letter spacing. I just feel they're a little too far apart from each other. Let's see, -2 is a good way to go. And then I'll go and change the color next. Select colors, and I choose the second swatch from the left, that one that we brought in. Next text, let's call this one, give your taste buds their daily boost. And for this one, I will leave it on 16. I will leave it on Roboto. Everything here I'm going to leave. The only thing I'm going to change, or two things that I will change here, is I'll go over here where you see this little icon that says uppercase. I'll select that. And then I want to change the color, give it a little bit of color on this page. And again, like before, select colors. And then in the bottom left corner, select the eyedropper. And then I'll go over this coffee ground on the right, and I'll select one of just a little bit. There we go. And I locked in this color. Slight change in color. I think it looks good. And next actually is the spacer. So what I'll do is I'll click, hold the spacer, drag it up. There we go. Then select the line. Go to the line settings all the way to the left. And all of this is good. I want this line. I want the height at 2. That's right. What I want to change is the alignment. So from here, alignment to the right, to the left. And then I want to change the width. So I can go to settings and reduce the width here. You can also just click on that line element within the element. Let me try and find that. Now it's too small. And you see the two little blue dots? Those are handles. So from here, you can also just hold and drag it. That space up here is too big. Select the spacer, drag it down a little bit, as so. And then we do the next text element. Triple click to select all the text and type your text. I'll just paste in the text that I have here. The Organic Cafe has been serving the Papagaaieberg community since 2014 with the finest in local and internationally brewed coffee beans. Our passion becomes your enjoyment. What we'll do here is reduce the line height to 1.7. I think it's just a little more condensed and still enjoyable to read. We have the next one is the spacer. I'll drag this down quite a bit. But now I come to a point which I mentioned in a previous tutorial. If you can duplicate, you duplicate. Don't design things from scratch. And I'm talking about a button that's going to do exactly the same as this button up here. Instead then of building out this button to look exactly like that button, I'll go ahead and select this button and then click on duplicate. In Brizy, it adds another clone to that button right next to it. To move it, click and hold and then drag. And you see we come out and then I drag it down here. But we run into a problem, and that is down there. I cannot drop it. What you need to do is on your keyboard, you hit the up and down arrow keys while holding onto that little button. You see, I haven't let go of it yet. So the down arrow key will move your page. And then I just drop it on top of that button. Where is my button, you say? That button is transparent, but if I hover over it, you can see with the hover state, we can see it. So we have to change the color. Select it, and then we go to color. Background, we're going to keep transparent. The text, we're going to put on the second swatch from the left, and the border, we're going to do the same, and the shadow, we're going to do the same. We've created a dark version of this light version, and we don't need to make any other changes to the font or the width or the styling. Everything is done because we duplicated it. Let's just align it, select it, and align to the left. Click on this button and then select delete from the options toolbar. And now we have built out this section. Looking again at it, I think this space is too much. Select it and let's delete it. That works for me. And to balance this, because this is a big mistake people make, this doesn't look good. You have this huge image on the right. Then you have this text on the left, but this white space there, it just feels unnatural. To balance this, what you do is you go to the column settings, select the settings configuration, and then you see you have this alignment option for the columns content. The easy one here is to select the one in the middle. If I put it at the bottom, I can also spread them, well, across, which is not a good idea in this case. We'll just put them to the middle. Now you have it looking like this. Pro tip here. When you bring in columns, the content is actually, and look here, I'll try and zoom in when I do the editing. The content is actually very close to each other. And this doesn't really play nice on how it looks. So what we do, every time we have content that looks a little bit squashed or a little bit crowded, or it just feels off, is we add space. And you'll hear me say that all the time. All we need to do is add some space on this side. Let me draw that in for you. We're going to add space. Where is this one? Around here, all the way to block this content so that it cannot go in there. And to do that, we use the padding sections of the column. Go to the column. Select the column settings at the top, and this jacket is getting very hot at this moment. Cold winter mornings. Is it hot? Is it cold? And then select the settings and select styling, and this opens the right sidebar for us, which you are kind of familiar with at the moment. And then under the basic, we have padding. We want to add more space on the right side of this column. So we look at this little sir down here with the right side highlighted, and it's set to 15 pixels. So there is a little space of 15 pixels added. To understand what the padding will do, grab the slider and just drag it all the way to the right. And you can see it adds more space on the right. So it pushes all the content onto the left. So it breaks it into more areas and space. I'll put it on 15, but I am going to, let me just type in there 15. I'm going to, instead of using pixels, use another value called percentage, which means that 15% of this column on the right will be empty space. I'll select percentage, and you see again, it just pushes everything a little bit. Hardly noticeable, hardly noticeable. I'll say it again, but just look at it. It looks much better. A slight other pro tip. If you feel it is still way too unbalanced, what can you do just to move all of this content a little bit up? To do that, go to your add elements, grab the spacer and drop it at the bottom. There. And now you see you have this control by just dragging the spacer to give your content a little boost to the top. And I think that just looks a little bit more better. This is a pretty huge design that we have here. If you feel it's too big, you can go to the image, select the image, and grab the handlebars in the bottom corners and just drag it down a little bit to reduce it. And then it looks a little bit more manageable for your screen. Good. Control S, Command S to save your work, and then you hit Control Shift P, Command Shift P to go view it on the front end. Really, you shouldn't have any problems with it. We've designed this part, and then we've designed this part. It looks good. And you see, because we've cloned that button, that animation is automatically also applied to it. And our About Us block is done. But no, it's not done. Remember, we have to go and check for our responsiveness in terms of mobile and tablet. So let's do that. Go to the sidebar on the left and select tablet. Let's see what we have here. I'm going to try and keep it as close as possible to what we saw on the desktop. But the first thing is I'll reduce the size of our text for the heading. 76, let's bring it down to something around 54. That looks good. This one is at 15. I'll put it on 16. And then this spacer I'll reduce. For this one, it's on 16. That's good. And then our button is fine. Again, go to the column settings. Now in this case, I want it nicely balanced in the middle, but we have a problem. I added this spacer at the bottom. And in this case, the spacer is adding the space which I don't want. So I can reduce it like this so the content balances nicely. But I'm going to show you an awesome feature which you find in builders, which you have to also get comfortable with. And that is the power to make certain elements appear only on desktop and not appear on tablet or mobile. Or you can choose an element only appears on a mobile device, but it doesn't appear on any of the other displays. Yes, you have that power. So this spacer had a function on desktop, but here I don't need this space. So instead of trying to reduce it, I can just tell this spacer do not appear whenever someone views it on the tablet. And as I click on the spacer, you're going to see the little eye of a Cyrus. No, it's just an eye. And what happens when you click on this, observe, it just disappears. And now you see there's the eye with a slash through it telling you it's invisible. It's still there, but when people view it on tablet, they won't be able to see it. Let's go back to desktop so you can see it is still there. It hasn't been deleted. I'll click it. There it is, right? But the moment I go to tablet now, it's not there. And now you run into a situation that maybe you want to bring it back. But as you can see, we have no way of finding it on the page at this moment. In the event that you want to bring it back, go to the options toolbar in the bottom right-hand corner all the way to the left. And you will see it says show hidden elements. Select that. And now when you hover again over this area, you will see it appears. It is technically blurred out. It's technically not showing, but it shows you it is there in case you want to bring it back. You can just activate it or make it show again. We want to keep it hidden, and I will again go to the options toolbar in the bottom right corner and select hide hidden elements. Why do we hide it? So that we can work on a page where we exactly know how it looks. And that is our About Us section for the tablet. Next, we go to mobile, and remember the shortcut key I told you earlier, Control-, Command- to go one level down. I think actually this looks fine. If I click on the typography, line height is fine. All of this is good. I'll reduce this a little bit to, let's say, something like 58. And then that is fine. Again, our spacer is too big here. Scroll down. That text is fine. The button is fine. I'll click on this spacer. You can see the spacer appears in the mobile. We haven't set it to be invisible, but I'm going to use the spacer in this case. So I'll drag it up and we can leave the image. But I think click on the image and just drag the handle in the bottom left corner to fill out the entire column. And that means that this margin here on the left nicely aligns with the content up here. There we go. Control Command plus and another plus to take us all the way to our desktop. Control S, Command S. And let's jump to our Open tab and reload it here to see how it will display. No change for us here because we already checked it. But what we can check now is that responsiveness within the inspector. Do you remember how to get there? F12 on your keyboard. So function F12. I'm working on a new keyboard, so I have to keep checking every time where everything is. Then we go and activate the toggle device bar. Let's first go for our iPad Air. No surprises. It looks fine there, right? So nice little About Us section. And then go to Samsung Galaxy S20. And again, no surprises. Looks good, accessible, readable. Let's close this and close it. You can hit the X close in the top right corner, or just hit function key F12 again. We've created our About Us section. How about that? Welcome back to Websites for Beginners. And we are working with our crash course from zero to semi-hero. This is a new slogan I made up, wasn't part of the original intention of this course, but helping you to understand how you can go from knowing nothing about making a website to getting to making your own website. If you've just joined from this video, I highly recommend you go to the playlist and start from the very beginning, because as they say, it's a very good place to start. We created the About Us section in the previous video. In this one, we are going to go and create an image gallery. And that is great if you want to promote your products. We're working with a coffee shop. No need to tell them we've got coffee, we've got chai latte and that kind of stuff. People want to discover, people want to experience, they want to have novel experiences. So keep it a nice little surprise for them. And we're just going to add these 3 images. This part of the tutorial is going to blow your mind with what you can do. We were on the front end, so I'll close this tab. We go back into the builder, and at the bottom, we select add a new block and we select create your own. You see, as we go on, things become very repetitive. And once you get into that automation, things become really, really simple. Question, previous one, we worked with this section of the About Us. We had 2 parts, so we made 2 columns. Now, if you look at this, 1, 2, 3 images, what do you think would be our approach to make sure that we've got these 3 images in this block? The answer would be we need 3 partitions, and partitions, they are columns. Within our block, click on the plus and then select the column, drag it in, and we have 2 columns. But we want 3. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. Go to the column settings in the top right corner, select it, and there you will see a plus that tells us we can add a new column. Select it, and therein comes the column. Go to the plus in the first column, we bring in an image, click, hold and drag, drop it, and then select the image. Go to the settings all the way to the left and click on image to bring in the first one. And you will find these 3 are the ones that we want to use. Select the image and you can see the name here on the right, Gallery 1, 03 Gallery 1, and then click select in the bottom right corner. A quick little thing I want to point out for you. Here within the thumbnail, you have a drop-down list, and currently it is set to custom. The custom means that this is going to take the shape of the column. So if I make changes to the column, there will be a change to the shape of this image. But if you want the image to stay exactly 100% the way that you designed it with the same ratio, you select original. And what I mean by ratio is actually aspect ratio. Once I click on the original, you will see that it turns into a square because I exported this image at a 700 by 700 pixels, which means it's a 1-to-1. It's a square. And I want to have it as a square. So knowing that my image is perfect, I want to keep it that aspect ratio, you can just go ahead and put it on original. However, just understand that once you select an image to be original, you also need to put it on something in terms of pixels that will be useful for the screen you are displaying on. If this image was like 2000 by 2000, then you definitely don't want to use original because it will bring that big file in and you don't need that big file. Then you go for one of the other settings. You'll see there are actually a few below that: thumbnail, medium, large, right? And then you have that custom one. But we're going to leave it on original because I designed it like that. It's exactly the way I want it to be. What you have to learn next is a very common process within website design. We want to have those 3 images next to each other. And we want to see how it's going to look while we are designing it. But what happens is that people will bring in the other 2 images and then they realize they need to make edits. And then they make edits to the first image, and then they have to copy those edits to the second and the third. Then they make a slight change to the first one. They have to make those changes again. So to avoid that, you focus on only one. But to give you a visual representation, go to the column settings at the top And then instead of adding a new column, you go to duplicating this column. And once you duplicate a column, it's going to duplicate all the contents inside as well. Select it once, select it twice, and you see we have 3 of them. But now we also have these other 2 columns on the right, which we don't want. You can right-click on it. The moment you right-click on something, you get this context little pop-up, and I'll select delete. Or you can go to the top right corner where you have the options toolbar and select delete. Definitely, we're not going to work with the same 3 images, but that's just to give myself a little idea of what is going on here. Now we begin to build out a full width section, a full width block. So how do I get this image to stretch all the way to the side of my screen? For that, we go to the block settings, go to the settings configuration, and then next to width, you select the drop down and put it on full. And that's it. Now you see that it has taken up all the space of this block, but there is still a lot of space. So every time in Brizy you bring in an image or a column or a block, there is some padding and margins applied by default. What we need to go and do now is remove all of that. The first thing I'll do is go to the column settings, click on the column settings, and then styling. And then we have a look here in the sidebar. So there is padding applied, 5 at the top, 15 on the right, 5 at the bottom, and 15 on the left. Instead of dragging these sliders all the way to the left to get it to 0, I will go here and just link all of the sides so I can work with them uniformly. And now I grab the slider, drag it to 0, and I'm becoming that semi-hero very quickly. But if I look at the column here, there is still a little bit of white space at the top and white space at the bottom. But I've taken away all the spacing. There's no padding. There are no margins. So where is this coming from? Brizy gives a little bit of margins to every time you bring in an image. So now I select the image, click on it. We do the same, settings, go to styling, and you will see padding is 0, but on margins, we have 10 pixels at the top and 10 pixels at the bottom. That's where that spacing is coming from. Let's link it, and by linking it, it drops to 0. And now when I hover here over the column, you will see there are no lines. Brilliant. Now, what I meant earlier by not working on each of these guys individually is instead of now going to this column and taking out all the padding, going to this image, taking the margins, and then repeating it a 3rd time, I can style out my first column and image perfectly and then just duplicate that again, right? Then I don't have to do all of that. But here comes a very big second important consideration. Before you do that, also remember that the same will apply for tablets and mobiles. I know this may feel a little bit overwhelming at the moment, but if you can grasp what I'm trying to say in the next few minutes, you'll save yourself a lot of additional work when you are designing anything on any builder. So before I go ahead and duplicate this column again, I'm going to go to tablet. I'll select the tablet design, and you will see now we have the same issue because there is padding and margins applied here. The first thing I'll do is go to the column settings, select it, and you see it's open already. I'll link it and drag it to 0. We have the space at the top and the bottom. Select the image again, and then margins, and that is closed down. Now we have already set that. For mobile, it's going to be stacked. And our question is, do we want it also full width? Why not? Let's go and do that. So we go to the first column, select the blue little arrow or the white arrow and the blue dot, settings, so there are margins applied in this column. That's interesting. Click it and you see this one says 10. So select it and type in 0 to take that away. Then we select the image and we go styling. It's already here. Also 10, select it. It's on 0. And now we've reduced it. Ooh. Okay, now we jump back to desktop. Are you still with me? We go ahead and duplicate this one twice again because we have 3. Then we go to this one and delete it. Now, maybe you ask me, couldn't I just have designed out one and duplicated it not have done that previous thing you did by putting in the image? Yes, you could have. This is just my preferred way. I like to have an image on the page. It gives me a visual representation of what I'm working with and space I have available. So I would just do that. But if you find it more easier just to work with one image, style it out on desktop, tablet, and mobile, and then copy it, that's fine. Let's change out the images. Select the first one. And now I don't have to make any of those changes in terms of padding and margins because I've already duplicated that column and the settings for the image. I select a new one. Look at that. And click on the next image. Go to image, delete it. Then we upload the last one or bring in the last one. Select. Nicely done. And if we have a look now on tablet, you see, it looks good because we have already made those changes, and the same with mobile. However, let's go back to desktop. Now we see here that we have in the block padding at the top of 75 pixels and padding at the bottom of 75 pixels. You can use the trick that we did earlier by click, hold, and dragging it, but it's gonna limit us to go as far as 15 pixels. Heaven knows why I cannot drag it to 0. Really wish I could. How can I get it to 0? Go to the block settings over here, select styling, and then link your padding and just drag it all the way to 0. And now they are all gone. We do the same for our tablet because there's a lot of padding applied here. Select the block and you can see padding at the top of 50, 15 on the left and right. Select them all and drag them down. And there they nicely go all the way. And the same for our mobile. Let's go to the settings here, padding, drag it to 0. Look at that. The last thing you can do that does work with images is to bring in a little bit of animation for all three of them. Not the same animation, a little variety so that they can draw the attention of the visitor. Again, you have the decision. Do you want to bring in the animation on a column basis or on an image basis? Toss a coin, make a decision. I'll go with column. And then we select effects and let's just make this weird, just so that you can see the different kinds of effects that you can do. I'll select rotate here and then direction, we can say up left and it's going to swing up like that. You can make it very slow, like 2 seconds, which is really bad. Don't do that. Like, by the time people view it, you've already scrolled to another section on the page. But I'm just showing you how the animation can work. Don't get stuck on animation. Really, if you spend a lot of time on animation, you're just wasting time. Let's do zoom for this one. How does this one work? Oh, okay, zoom is like that. Let's see zoom up. How is zoom up? Up, up. Zoom left. Why not, right? Why not? And we can reduce the delay, which means it will happen quickly, or we can increase the delay, which means the animation will only happen after a longer time. And now I want to do the animation for this one. Let's go here and select settings for the column and effects. And which one did we choose? Bounce. Let's do bouncy bounce. Bang, bang, and bounce in. Okay. And we just leave it like that. So let's say update, and then we go preview it on the front end to look at this flying circus. Here's our hero section. Nice. A little bit about us. And then finally, the images come in. And you see this one that takes 2 seconds before the animation starts. I'll always be very critical of that because if you are on a mobile device, that is going to be a problem because we scroll like this on a mobile device. 2 seconds in mobile scrolling time is an eternity. What you can do is that the animations are also responsive, which means that you can deactivate the animation for mobile and tablets as you please, is what I should do. So I'll go to mobile and then I'll click on the column settings and then you will see the effects open. I'll select none. And this way I can go through all 3 columns and take away the animation. Trust me on this, animation like this on a mobile is not a good idea. What is left? We're going to create a testimonial block slider next. Pretty awesome. And then the last thing we're going to do is create that contact form. I have a love-hate relationship with testimonials. I think they are so fake. So if you can do it well, it can really give credence to your website. And what I mean by do it well is get real-life images of customers in your shop and make sure that they give true statements, not some, babble that they manufactured from somewhere on ChatGPT. Say something like, my husband and I, we've been coming here since the shop opened. It's been a legend in our community. Really get to the heart of it. I don't want to go into testimonials because it's one of the things that I really don't want to add to any website. But at the same time, I find myself when I visit unfamiliar sites, I'm checking out the testimonials. I want to see, if these people are actually telling me something. We also call it social proof. It's a good way to convince people that this is legit. This is the deal. So we add a testimonial here. By the way, my name is JB. Welcome to Websites for Beginners in this crash course for building out your website from a zero to a semi-hero. Let's click on Add a New Block. Select Create Your Own. The first thing we'll bring in is an image for the person's face. You can see because we're working in this big open area of canvas, this is a massive image. Below that, I'm going to bring in a quote from this person. Below that, I'll have a line separator. I'll bring in where's line. Under that, I'll add a spacer, and then I'll bring in more text for the person's name. All of that is in here. Click on the image, and then we select our first image from the gallery. And if you cannot see it, just scroll down, click on image. And this is our first person over here. Testimonial number 1. And select. And you're going to see it's going to look really bad. Even if I put it on original, it still looks bad because I've created this image very small. I don't need it this big. So to reduce the image, simple, click on it and you will see in the bottom corners we have these arrows, handles that you can drag. So I'll click and hold and drag, and I'm going to make it very, very tiny. You also can do that from the settings here. You have percentage. So I can just, let's say, a round number of 10. I feel this is too big. I really want this not to be that in your face, but let's just keep it 10% for this tutorial. Now I have a square. I want to make it a nice little circle. And there is an awesome feature that you can do that with. In the image settings, go all the way to the left, and you see up here called a mask. And a mask is a shape that you apply over the image like a cookie cutter and cutting it out. So the shape is the first shape that we'll be using, and that is a circle. But just have a look. There are quite a number of them. Oops. And you can go through them and see maybe one of these shapes can work for you. Do you want me to use a different shape than a circle like this one? Nah, let's use the circle for now and stick to the tutorial. Click on circle and put the size to fit. You're not going to see any changes here, but it's good to put it on fit, which means that the shape will fit perfectly into our area. And that's it. We brought in the image, we reduced it, we applied a mask, it looks perfect. Next, we're going to add a little bit of a testimonial here. And you can add the mumbo jumbo that they will give you. I love the food and coffee at the, what is it called? The organic cafe. This has been a jewel in the neighborhood. And my fondest memories as a kid I got from this shop. Okay, we can go on forever with that. Let's style it out. Let's go to T for typography, and I'll increase this to around 18. Let's even make it 20. Reduce the line height to 1.7. That just looks better. I like this gray, which is applied the second swatch from the right. Then I'll align it to the middle, and I'll select italics here. It's very easy to usually put it on italics. Makes a good impression, when you are doing something like a testimonial. You can see that this sentence runs just too far for us, so we want to bring things a little bit closer to each other, force a few line breaks. Do you remember how to do that? The block, go to the block settings, and then reduce the width. Let's type in there 75 and see how that will look. That's nice. You did see what happened when I typed in 75. Let me put it back on 100. You see it also shrinks the image because the image is set to a percentage. So it's going to always be in relation to the block settings. Let's go back to the block, type in 75. So in this case, I think now the image is maybe too small. So what I'll do, it's still 10%. I'll just increase it a little bit. Okay, 12, 13. There's that 3 again. We just cannot get away from it. Okay, right. This is good. And then on the line, we're going to do something really fancy with the line. Again, I'm surprised that this is a free feature. You don't get it in other builders. Go to the line settings all the way to the left and select this one with the little star. And look at that. A little icon just pops right in there. Select icon next to the line tab. And then here at the top where you see the icon, click on that. And then we search here for heart. I wonder if we can search for coffee. I didn't check. Ooh. It's a coffee shop. Let's go for the coffee mug. I wanted to use the heart to show that we want to show the love. But in this case, I'm going to go for the coffee mug. Very tiny. So let's go to the size and we can increase it with the slider, or you can use one of these presets. 24. 24 is nice. Spacing will give that little bit of white space between the mug and the line. And you can even rotate it. Heaven knows why. You want to show you are drinking it? Nah, let's keep it on 0 degrees. Back to the line. Nothing we want to change here. I think that is fine. And we can change the color of the icon. So click on the colors and you see here we have the icon. So let's go choose one of the colors. I want to use something from one of these images. Select the color picker. And shall we go with something a little bit more? Yeah, I like that. So I chose a color from this wooden placemat saucer for that chai latte. Nice. Look at that. What we did there. Click on the spacer, drag it down a little bit. And then below here, we're going to add a name. I think at this point, just quickly want to talk about what we are doing with the images and the text. It is a good idea to create a dummy website every time you want to set it up and then bring in your content later. It helps you to visualize how your website is going to look and play out. So we use a lot of dummy text, placeholder text, and we use these images. If you are creating this coffee shop for your friend downstairs, you're definitely not going to use these images. It's not related to their website. And I hate seeing images on a site that I know that's not real for that concern. The idea though of stock photos like this from FreePic is that they are great. Number one, for backgrounds like the one we have at the top. Second, they are good for other design elements. And third, they are used for placeholders. And the same for text. So when you get into the situation where you need placeholder images, stock sites like FreePic and the free guys like Unsplash, Pixels, Pixabay, all great. Raw Pixel is another one that you can go check out. And then when it comes to text, we have a number of ways. Our most popular one is to use a text generator called Lorem Ipsum. I'm not going to go into that because for this tutorial, I've used real text. But if you ever run into names, if you want to come up with people's names and you just cannot think of names and you don't want to use your friends' names, there is a great little link for that. I'll just go here. Let's open a new one. And that is called fakenamegenerator.com. Fakenamegenerator.com. Brilliant. And then you can choose here the gender. We have a female here. What the name, the origin of the name. So if I want to make this one French, I'm going to select French. And if you want to, you see, you are going to generate so many statistics over here. I'm only interested in the name. So I'll click on generate. And then we have Claire Desrousseau. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I'll just go ahead and copy it. Copy. Good. Then we go back. Our text is selected and we paste it. Let's click back on this and then select all the text. I'll put it on Roboto and it's bold. It's at 28. It brought in the 28 from the fake text generator. No, we're going to put it on Caveat Brush. 23, I think, is fine. Letter spacing, we're going to put on 0. And you see it has activated bold here. Again, it's bringing in the settings from the site, which we don't want. So I'll deactivate bold. Let's put it in the middle. Nice. And let's use the same color as this little mug. So I'll click here on my little selector and we go to the mug. Come on, little mug. I cannot get the mug. Let me try again. Where is? Okay. So what I'll do, instead of doing that, I'll click again on the icon or the line, go to the icon, and in the box, I'll copy this code. Then I'll go to our name, and I cannot see it because it's on white. Select it and copy it. And there we go. Place Claire de Rousseau. Claire de Rousseau. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Nice. I'm going to leave it. This is great. This is the testimonial that we want. Before we go and create the second and the third slide, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me show you. Here we have it like so. I've done it completely differently. That's what happens. I have the line there, etc. What we have here is a block slider. The entire block is sliding. So we want to duplicate this and then create a few more testimonials. Like the one we did previously, before we duplicate it, we're going to go back to our tablet and mobile and make sure it looks good on those devices first. So let's select tablet. And I want to make the image bigger. Click on it, just drag it a little bit bigger. I want to make this smaller, the text area. So I go to text, or I mean the size, 18, and I'll reduce it to 1.6. And the rest I'm pretty happy with. Maybe a little bit space at the top, a little bit more space at the bottom, and we can add more space on the left and right. So the block settings is set to 75%. Let's move that to 85%. JP, how did you get to 85%? No idea. I just made a guess. That's what I like. I'll just make the image a little bit smaller now. Now, next is the mobile. So you can hit Control minus, Command minus to go down to mobile. And this looks a little bit gnarly. The first thing I'll do, remember on mobile, I told you to go for the width at 100%. So let's choose that first. We're going to change it very soon, to your surprise. But I want you to understand what will happen. And that light just went down. Batteries. Let's make the image bigger. Text, we put it on 16. Reduce to 1.6. And this spacer, I'm going to make invisible because I don't need all of that space. And then I'll add space at the top. And then to the bottom, I go and add space here as well. So let's do a little bit more. This is a mobile device after all. Good. Let's go back to desktop, save our work, Control S, Command S. And now we're going to make it a block slider. Go to the block settings all the way to the left and select block. And then you see here, we have the option to make it a slider. Observe what happens the moment I activate it. It duplicates this one and gives us another navigation dot here at the bottom. And it gives us navigation arrows on the left and the right. And what essentially has happened is that Brizy has duplicated this, given us two exact copies, two slides that are exact copies, but we can make changes now. Here is how you can trust me on this. Click on the second dot so that it is selected like so. Click on the image, and then we replace this image by deleting that one and bringing in our second person. And now, as I go through it, you will see we have our block slider and you can change out the content. But let me go and show you what has happened on tablet and mobile. Select tablet, and tablet looks good. So no need to make changes here. But when we go to mobile, the navigation arrows give us a problem. Sliders are infamously a problem on mobile devices, again, because of the space constraint. Now, what we're going to do here, let's just make sure we select the first one. You can click here on the dot with this lady, with Claire Let's choose the block settings and we will constrain the width. So I'll drag in the width until I get it quite a bit in. Because this is a cell phone device, this space is not a problem if we, stack them that high on top of each other. But we want to add enough space between the arrows here. Let me just see again. Okay, let's make that 60%. So we constrain it to 60%. Click on the image and then make it bigger. And let's reduce a little bit of the space at the top. Now the image is too big. There we go. And space at the bottom. But this only applies to this slide. If I slide now to the next one, you will see the old settings still apply. So how can I make sure it applies to all of the slides? To copy my little trick from the previous tutorial where we did the image gallery, I'll go back to desktop. Then I will select the second slide. Now this slide is the one that doesn't work well on mobile. I'll go to the slide block settings in the top right corner and select delete. This will delete this slide, but keep the original slide. This one is perfect for tablet, mobile, and desktop. Now I go ahead and copy it. So select copy. Global slider is still active. So by clicking on copy, it created the second one. Click on the second one, change out the image. And we put her back. And by doing so, when I go now to mobile, you're going to see that the settings have been kept. And now I can go ahead and duplicate it again. Let's select the last one with her. Duplicate the block slide. Select the third one and change out the image to the guy. And our block slider is done. You can change the names. I've given you a fake name generator and your slider is done. I know it seems like a lot of back and forth. We never had to do this. I even want to say 5 years ago. Actually, when Brizy first came out, we didn't even have access to design in mobile device. Mobile came out a little bit after it was released. Tablet came out much later. And now we're waiting for something we call breakpoints. I hope that very soon the breakpoints will be released and that I can show you what you can do with breakpoints, because that's going to really elevate your responsive design. So a little bit of back and forth depending on what you're doing, but the ways that I've shown you for both this image gallery here and the block slider are ways that are going to save you a lot of time. If you forget to do that at the beginning and later you come back and you make changes to one, you will have to go into each and every little part of all the others and change them as well. And sometimes then it's just better to start all over again. Are we done here? We're done with this one, but we still have a contact form, which we're going to tackle in the next tutorial. The contact form, very important. I think you should always have one. You never know what kind of business you can generate by people who find you online. We can also talk a lot about the challenges that come with putting your details out there on the internet. That's a discussion for another day. What we have here is a map on the left, and then we have on the right a form element. A free element in Brizy, I'll always wax lyrical about that, getting that for free, because you have no idea that that is actually a premium feature. So let's see how we are going to do that. First question, how do we divide this page? You can see 2 columns, but do note that the column on the left is slightly narrower than the column on the right. Let's go into Brizy, scroll to the bottom, add a new block, create your own, click in the middle, and bring in a column. To make the column on the left slightly narrower than the one on the right, you see this bar in the middle, click, hold, and drag it, and you see we have the control over the width of these columns. At the top, you have a heads-up display. So if I want to put this column on 40 to 60%, I can drag it until I get to 40-60. If you cannot reach the 40-60, there's an easier way to do it. Click on the column settings, and then you can just type in next to width the 40%, and then automatically the one next to that will adjust for the full space, which will give you 60%. Bring in the map element. We open the elements panel, and under essentials, yes, it's an essential element, is the map element. Click, hold, and drag. This is also something that I have to tell you that I'm really fond of Brizy. Most other builders, you have to bring in an API key from Google and set it up and go through all of that process to use the map element. This free element allows you to just type in the address here and voila, it is done. So I said we were using French names here. So let's say this is in France. I'll go to the map and I'm just going to type in there coffee shop, and then Paris, France. And let's see what it does. It's going to choose something randomly there. The Cafétique of Paris. Lovely. Click on the map and you see we have the handlebars again all around it. Click the bottom one and just drag it a little bit. And if you want precise control over that again, you go to the settings and you will see the height here is in pixels. You can also put it in percentage. So let's put it on 600 pixels to keep it nice and smooth and rounded. On the right, we bring in a title where we will say we would like to hear from you, maybe a little bit of a sentence, then a spacer, and finally below that, the form element, which is an essentials element. Click on form, click, hold, drag, and drop it. Let's change the text at the top. We'd like to hear from you. My typing is going for a ball this morning. And let's style it out. We put it on caveat brush. I'm going to increase the size until I feel I like what I see. Reduce the letter spacing to -2. Let's increase that again. Let's put it on 64. And then the line height, I'm going to reduce to 1. The color, I'll put on this dark blue that we've selected at the beginning, the swatch second from the left. And then I will go to this dummy text that we have here. Visit us today for the best brew experience in Paris. The locals prefer. We are the first and the last stop on your journey. Oh man, where do I get this from? Let's go and change it out. It is on Roboto already, but we can change the line height to -1.7, 1.6. I think that is better. And that's it. Let's leave it like that. Change out a little bit of this spacer. We make it a little bit smaller. Now we get to the form element. So what do we want to collect with this form element? We want people to send us a message, find us. And with that, we want to know who you are and your email address. So those 3 things that we need, we call it fields. When you work with a form, every little block that you have to put in information is called a field. So 3 fields. But here's the thing. Those 3 fields are different in nature. Their character is different. An email field must be assigned as an email. A name is a short little bit of text, so we often call it short text or just text. And a message is a long piece of text, so we mostly refer to that as a paragraph or long text. Let's start here and see what we've got. The first one is email. If you go to the settings far on the left, you will see it is set to email. That is great. Just have a look at the drop-down. You can see there are a number of different fields, but we don't work with all of them. Leave it on email. Make sure it is required. You don't want people sending you all kinds of bad messages and you don't know how to get back at them. Right. Now, what I want to do is I want to create a field where the person can put in their name. At the options toolbar, with the email selected, click on duplicate, and it's going to create this one that says email-1. We don't want that. We want a name. To change this label, you can select it on the page. Again, I triple click and I'll type in name. But remember, the field is still set to email. So go to the options toolbar all the way to the left and next to type, put it on text. And it's required. Now, below this is a default field called select. I don't want this. So click on it and choose delete. And the last one is paragraph. Select the word paragraph and type in your message. And that's all you have to do. You can go to the settings. You will see it's not required. I want it required, so I'll switch it on. But next to type, just note it's put on paragraph. And there you've done that. Pretty awesome, right? The last one you want to do is change the button. Double click to select the word button and type in all caps, send message. Okay, send message. And then let's style it out. Go to the button settings on the left, and I think I'm going to leave all of this. Typography next, it's on Roboto. I'll put it on 16, and then I'll put it on medium, and I'll make my letter spacing around 2. The only thing I will do now is go to the settings, and I'll reduce the width of this button. And once I've done that, it's at 50%, I'll align it to the right. Change the color all the way to the color. Let's make this a dark button. And for the hover, select hover. The background I will put on white. And the text I will put on a dark blue. Now it will look like this. If someone selects it, it will say send message. That doesn't look right. Let's go to the color, hover, and also add a border. So at least we can see that. Okay, just something a little bit different. We need to add some separation between this block and our testimonial. Now it just feels like it's all part of the same thing, which it isn't. And to do that, we changed the background of this block. We bring in an image similar to what we did with the hero section at the top. Click on the block settings, background image, and this will be our second last image we will be using, which is this one over here. It says 05 contact background, and click select. And we apply an overlay to it, similar like we did at the top. Go to colors, second from the left, and put it on 85 or 80, between 80 and 85. There we go. Now we need to make changes to these. Click on the text, change the color to white. And we do the same for this. Now the gray doesn't work anymore, so we put it on white. And click on the form, go to the colors. The background, we're going to make transparent. So grab the transparency slider all the way to the bottom. Then we go to text, click on white. But look here, transparency slider is set to 70%. Take it all the way to the top. Border, let's make sure it's the same. White, white, white. And now the button doesn't look right either. So for the button, let's select the button and we switch it around. We make the background white. We make the text this color. And we just leave it like that. I think it works for us. Last but not least, let's add a little bit of spacing here between these two columns, similar to what we did here at the top when we brought in this white space. Go to the column settings of the right block, then settings, styling, and we add padding on the left. Now currently it's set to 15 pixels. And if you're confused what I'm doing, I'm going to add space here. This is the padding area that I want to add, and that is going to be the same. So we go to the column settings again, styling, and then the padding is on the left of that column. 15 pixels, I'll just put it on percentage. And once I do that, look, you'll see it adds, oh, that's way too much. So let's bring it down to 5%, see if that is better. 5% is better. And the last thing I'll do is go to the column settings again and just put everything in the center so it balances out nicely. I keep saying the last thing. There's so many last things that we still have to do. Let's go to tablet and see how it looks on the tablet. Oh, not bad, not bad. I think it's good to go here. I'll just reduce. Why is there space? Oh, that's the send message. So what I have here on the tablet, I think it looks good. I'll reduce the spacer a little bit. And I think I like the fact that this is breaking into two lines, but it's unbalanced on the left. So if I click on the map, I grab the bottom handlebar and I'll just drag it a little bit so that we have this balanced again in the middle. Nice. I think this looks good. And then we go to mobile. For mobile, it will be stacked, but you don't want your map first. It's a little bit out of place. Great feature within Brizy, we can switch these two columns around. So go to the map column, select the column, and you will see these two arrows appear, and they only appear in responsive design. And select them, and this is gonna switch them around. So we have now the form at the top and the map at the bottom. And I'm really not gonna change much here. I'll click here on the spacer again, reduce that. Add a little bit more space at the top. And for this button, I'll just go to the settings and increase this to around 75%. And the reason I do that is from experience on the smaller devices, it's going to squash the button and your text is going to disappear. Good. And then for the map, this is too much. So I'll go to the bottom and reduce it. It almost feels like the ending of a good movie when you get to this point and you're done. Strictly speaking, you're not done. There's still a lot that you can do, but let's go to the desktop. Control S, Command S. Let's go preview it. Control Shift P, Command Shift P. And I'll close these two tabs so that we don't get confused. Let's have a look. Great. And we have this wacky entrance animation, which I highly recommend you don't do. Then we have the block slider here. Aha, let's go and make the block slider automatic, which means it will have autoplay. You don't have to click on those arrows. Go back into Brizy, go to the block, settings for the block all the way to the left. And where you see make it slider, there's now also a tab here that says slider. I'll add it to autoplay and it will keep it at 3 seconds. You can change that. Update, go to the front end, refresh this page. That coffee looks good. And look at that. Brilliant. Remember to change the names as well as the content. And here is the form element. In this case, I will say my email. I will say jp@websitesforbeginners.io. My name is JP. When are you open this Sunday? And then I'll say send message. Your email was not sent. Why was my email not sent? And it's probably because I haven't sent it up, I guess. Let's go and have a look. Go back and we go to the form element and click on the button all the way to the right. You select that little icon and you will see that you have to access the WordPress settings here. You have to set up where the message information will go. Click on it and the email that you have registered with should appear here. You can delete it, add another one, and you can also add a comma after it if you want to send it to more emails than this. Just let me help you quickly here. Someone comes to your website, they type in where does that information goes. It goes to this email address or whichever email you want to use. And actually, this is all you have to add here. Let's just stick to that. I'll explain in other videos what you can add here and what the metadata can mean for you. All you need to do now is click on continue and you're done. Now you've set it up. Remember, let's just go and update it again. Go to our front end, refresh this page. And yes, I'm sending this email to myself, but who knows? Let's do it again. Email is jp@w4b.io. My name is JP, and does this work? This will be my new question. And click on send message. And this time we'll get green, which is success, baby. Your email was sent successfully. And you can go check your inbox. Emails should be there, and then you can start building up these connections. We refer to these connections in the world of website as leads, right? Contacts and people that you can contact and make sales to. Our website has come to its fruition, but we can add a few more things. So I'm not going to call this tutorial to an end. I want to show you how you can add a menu at the top with a logo. And then maybe we can add a little bit of a footer at the bottom if we want to. And then still, we want to update a few things for WordPress, like the favicon I mentioned to you that we want to add at the top, and also your site name, your site tagline, and just make a few settings within WordPress so that you can truly get ready to publish this page. And one of the biggest things you may not be aware of is that this is currently not your homepage. If you were to go to WordPress and you type in your address, it will not display this page. It will display the posts archive page. We'll talk about that in the upcoming tutorials. Welcome back to our crash course, and this is going to be a short one, but like always, a very important one. I've done something while you were gone, and what I want to show you is our page that we have created, and we have our hero section, then something about our product, a gallery to give an idea of our products and the ambiance. Then we have a testimonial slider, people telling some great things about us. And then finally, our contact form section with a map. People can find us and they can also send us messages. But there's a very important part on this page, and there are actually two of them. It's this button over here and then also this button over here. Because what happens if you click on it? And that's what I'm going to do now, something I've done and you're going to do soon. Find out more, and it scrolls all the way to the bottom. Remember, a button can do so many things. It can take you to other pages. It can make you download things. It can create pop-ups. Some of those are pro features, but what I just showed you is a free feature. And it goes by many names. But if you want to visualize it, when I click here, the page jumps to the bottom. So this is often referred to as a jump link, but we also call it anchoring because I anchor this button to this section, to this block. That's important to understand that that button there is linked to this block. And I'm going to do the same for this button over here. Let's go back into the builder and then I'll show you how to do that. To create the anchor link to jump to that section is the easiest thing on earth. Select the button, and then in the options toolbar, you see this little link icon, and that will give you this pop-up that gives you the option to put in a URL, a block, or a pop-up. Now, this pop-up, don't be fooled, is actually a pro feature. But if you go to block, you will see that there are thumbnails generated of all the sections on your pages. What you can do now is click on any of them, and then the button is linked. I told you, very easy. So go to the bottom and select it and make sure you see that blue box around it. If by mistake you don't want to use the block anchoring, all you need to do is select it again and that blue box will be removed. But we want to leave it there, so click on it and then scroll down to the second section and click on this Find Out More as well. Go to the link, block, scroll to the bottom and click on it, and now you've linked all the buttons. No more buttons on your page that needs the linking. Next is the very important save. So please click on Update or Control S, Command S, and then we go and preview this, Control Shift P, Command Shift P. And I don't expect anything strange here. Click on Find Out More, and it scrolls to the bottom of the page, and then we go up to the second block and click out Find Out More, and it scrolls to the bottom of the page. In the next video, we're going to take this a step further, but then we are going to create custom links for our menu that we will be creating and posting through the Blocksy header. But before we do that, I just want to point out something with these anchor links that we've created. So let's go back and select the first button, click on the link, and then on block, go to this area where you see block name. Currently, it just gives us the hashtag block name and then a little edit. I can click in there and give it a name. So what is the name of this block? It's a Contact Us. When you give sections names, a few rules. Rule number one is don't use uppercase caps. Just use lowercase, small little letters. So I will call this Contact. And if you use more than one word, use hyphens between them. Don't separate the words, but I'm just going to keep it Contact because it's very simple. If I click on the edit, let me just see, nothing special. It's the same thing that happens. I can select it, but then it's gone. But if I click back on it, you will see that the contact remains there. Click outside, scroll to the bottom, and then this block, you go to the settings. Here you find your settings configuration. It opens our little styling option, and then under styling, go to advanced. And here you will see it says block name, and there is contact now there. It's already added it. And you can see there's a little help little tag for us, add your custom block name, example, my-block. Remember, I told you, don't keep words separate. You either combine them as one word, or if you do want them like this, you put in a hyphen there. You don't need to give your blocks names, not at all. But in the next video, we are going to be creating custom menu links, wherein we will need to give them names so that we can add those names to the menus at the top. That we tackle in the next video. From me, see you then. Welcome back to Websites for Beginners, JP here, and we continue our journey in this crash course of WordPress, Blocksy, and Brizy. We are kind of done with Brizy, and I want to remind you that we started at the very beginning with WordPress, and then we did Blocksy, and then we got to Brizy. And what have we actually done with Blocksy and WordPress? Not much yet, but in this tutorial and then in the next one, we're going to tackle that. And then in future tutorials here on Websites for Beginners, you're going to see a lot more where we work with the theme, where Blocksy comes into play far more. If you want to learn more about WordPress, you're going to learn that through the tutorials, but I'm also releasing videos here on the channel called WordPress Essentials. And that will show you all those small little things like how you change the language within WordPress if you are interested in those things. Let's get back here. What I want to do is place a menu at the top. Similar to this button that we've created here, find out more, we created that jump link. So when people click on it, it takes them to the contact section. What I want to do is place a few links here at the top, even though this is just one page, so that when people click on it, it will take them to the About section. Another one that will give them the image gallery, woohoo! And then again, the contact form. Now we did give the contact form a name. You remember we went to the block settings and not actually, we added it in the block, but you can find it here under advanced. So what we need to do to make sure that we can also link our About and Gallery section is to go and give it a name for each one of them. So let's first go to the About Us section. We go to the block section or the block settings, then click on styling and then styling advanced here block name. And we're going to call this About, just About. Click outside and scroll down to where you have the image gallery. Do the same, settings, styling, and then advanced under styling, and we call this gallery. That's it. There are a number of ways how you can create these links at the top. And in fact, within Brizy, there is a menu element. We can go here. I'll just show you that you can use to bring that in. You see that there are actually two menu elements. One is for the free and one is for the pro. If you work in the free one like we are, of course, you're going to use this one. But we're going to jump that. Instead, we're going to bring Blocksy in because Blocksy can do that and a little bit more because we are using the free version. But where is Blocksy? At the beginning, I showed you all that about the themes. And where is the header? Where is the page title? Where is the footer? When you install Brizy and you start editing the page in Brizy, by default, it loads the Brizy canvas. And this means that it gives you a clean slate. You're not going to see anything from the theme. That's why you didn't see the header, you didn't see the footer, you didn't see the page title. Now we're going to switch to the default template, which will let us see the Blocksy header and footer and page title. Within Brizy, we're going to do that. You go here to the bottom left where you see this little page icon and it says page. Click on that. And then you see the page template. Currently, it's using Brizy template, which means there is nothing. But if you select it, you will see you have now the option to select default. And that's going to be the default theme template. So I'll click on it. It's going to refresh my page, spinning wheels of motion. And then I'm going to get that page, which we had the header, the page title. And if we scroll to the bottom, this little footer here at the bottom. Important, you cannot edit any of this here. We are within Brizy at the moment. You cannot edit this within Brizy. You have to go and edit it within Blocksy. And there are a number of ways that we are going to be doing this. But a few things. First of all, let's save just to make sure that we've kept these changes. Control S, Command S, or click Update there in the bottom right corner. But before we leave here, because we're going to exit now to Blocksy, you're going to just open a preview on the front so you can hit Control Shift P or Command Shift P just for us to have this open on the front. And then we'll go and make changes within Blocksy. And then every time we make that change, I'm going to update it from here. Go back to where you have Brizy and let's exit here. So go to the bottom where you see more and click on Go to Dashboard. And now it takes us back into the WordPress page editor. In the top right corner, you will see there's a little icon for Blocksy, Blocksy page settings. Select our good friend Blocksy. And the first thing we're going to do is select here in the tab on the right, page title. And it says inherit. Inherit, don't worry about that. Custom, no, don't worry. We want to disable it. So what is this page title that I'm showing you here? Let's go to this page I told you to open. It's this section over here. And we don't want that to appear. This is so 1990s, 2000s. Yeah, we still use page titles, especially when you're working with posts. But we're going to not use it. We just don't use it anymore. So we want to disable it. Go back into WordPress and the page editor, Blocksy, and remember we click disabled. Now that it's been disabled, to make changes here, you can just hit again Control-S, Command-S, or click up there on Update, updating the page, and then go to the front end and let's refresh the page and you will see that our title is gone. One more thing we want to change here. I'm not sure if you can see, but if you look very closely, you're going to see there is a gray bar, slightly gray here. And then scroll down, you're going to see there is a similar space here at the bottom. That again is a setting in Blocksy that basically stretches the content on the page. You don't need that when you're working with a page builder like Brizy, so we have to remove that. Let's go to the top, then go back. And again, with Blocksy selected, let me do that. Close page title, now go back. And then just scroll down here to content area vertical spacing. Again, it says inherit from the settings in your main customizer. But we're going to click on custom. And all you do, go all the way to the right and click on disabled. Let's update the page. Go to the front. And then do the same and note that space, refresh, and the space is gone. Now we want to do the following. We want to change this area, just another WordPress site, to our logo or our name. We want to bring in the menu links here for the About, the Gallery, and the Contact section. We want to make this transparent so that it can go over this hero section we've created. And then at the bottom, we also want to change out this here WordPress theme created by CreativeThemes to our own little thingy, plus add maybe a menu here at the bottom in this footer. That is all done again, yes, within the customizer for Blocksy. So it's basically the Blocksy settings. But now we have to go one jump back into WordPress. Here in the header, and remember I told you this part of your page or the website is called the header. This area here, where you see those links that you can click to navigate between pages, is called the menu. Now, the menu is not set in Blocksy or in Brizy. The menu is created within WordPress. So you begin to understand the layers here. Some is connected to WordPress, some is connected to Blocksy, and some is connected to the page builder, in this case, Brizy. So to create the menu, we have to go into WordPress, and we're going to do that first. Again, leave this page open. I'll exit here and go to our back end within WordPress. Click on the W in the top left corner. And to find our menu, in the navigation sidebar on the left, go to Appearance. And look there, it says Menus. Select it. The first thing you need to do is create a menu. Go here where it says Menu Structure and give your menu a name. This is a title because you can create more than one menu. So it's a way to identify the menu. I usually call this my main menu. And then you select here in the bottom right, Create Menu. Now we're going to add those links for those sections that we have created. We call those custom links. They don't exist. We need to create them. Go to the custom links. And the first thing is the URL. The address, where does it go? And because this is a one-pager site, all I need to do is give it the address of the block. And we start that block section always with a hash. The hash indicates a section on the page. And then the first one was about. And that's all I'm going to do. And then the title of this page, or section, I'm going to call About Us. And then click on Add to Menu. Now I want to create a second link for the gallery. So I do the same, hashtag, and then gallery, and then link text, I will say gallery. Add to menu. And the last one is the contact section. And we call that one hashtag contact. And then the link text we're going to call contact us. So you can type in there anything you want. Send us a message, message us, we miss you, whatever. Click on Add to Menu. But before you go ahead and save your work here, you'll see here it says Display Location. And this is another one that wants to make you a little bit freaked out. But if you look here on the front, where we have this header from Blocksy, this in the top header is header 1. This is header 1, menu 1. So if you go here, you will select header menu 1. This is where this menu, main menu, will be displayed. If you create another menu and you want to display it on another header, then you call maybe that one secondary menu and you display it on header menu 2. Understand? So you can create a different menu and you can assign it to a different location. But this main menu, we're also going to use at the bottom where the footer is. So I'm going to click Footer menu, as well as we're going to use it on the mobile menu. So I'll click Mobile menu. I want to assign it to all of them. And then I'll go ahead and click Save menu. Make sure you click Save menu. I often forget to click Save, then I navigate away and then I didn't have those changes locked in. Let's see if our menu, About Us, Gallery, Contact Us now appear within this header. Go to the front end and refresh. And there we go. About Us, Gallery, and Contact Us. So we've created them. Do they work? So click on About Us and yep, they go to About Us, but what's happening? Click on Gallery. And there's our gallery. Great, it takes us to the gallery section. Exactly what we wanted, but something feels off here. What is wrong? Yes, the contact us. So the jump links, these custom links are working perfectly, but it's a hard jump. You go from here to there immediately and it feels a little bit weird. You're not even sure if you're on the same page anymore. Now, strangely enough, when you work with page builders, that smooth scroll that you can have, like here, scroll, you can see it scrolls nicely, does not work in Blocksy within the header section. So when I click here on About Us, you don't get the same smooth scrolling. This is the wonder of WordPress. Anything you cannot do in WordPress, you can dream it up, and then you go to the WordPress repository plugin or the plugin repository, and you will find something there. So we're going to find a plugin that's going to allow us to smooth scroll those as well. Let's go back and then go to plugins. You can just click on plugins or installed plugins. Let's have a look what we currently have here. We have Brizy. This is the one that's activated, and we add another one. Go to the top next to plugins, add new, and not sure what it's called. We just call it Smooth Scroll ID. It's going to search and give us a few options. And this one, Page Scroll to ID. What this little plugin is going to allow us to do is when we click up here on Contact Us, it's going to scroll smoothly. So let's go ahead. The first thing we need to do is install now. Anything you do in WordPress will always install it first, but it's not activated. Second step is click on Activate. And the default settings for this one is perfect. You don't have to do anything else. You can see here under plugins, it's also highlighted in blue now, which tells you that Page Scroll to ID is activated. Go to the front page. Let's refresh it so we can bring that plugin settings in. Go to the top and click on Contact Us. And look at that. Smooth scrolling. Great. So we have created that menu. We've assigned the menu up here. We've added smooth scrolling. Let's go and make the changes to how this header and the footer looks. That is done within Blocksy. And every time you make changes to the theme, we go into what we refer to the customizer. We customize the theme. I would have liked to call it settings, but this is again something from the past that's carried forward into the future and will be there for still eons to come. So remember, every time you want to make a change to the theme, Customizer. There are so many places to find it. The first place you can find it is under Navigation, here, Appearance, and then you will see under Themes, Customize. Select that. It's going to open the page, and it's going to give you the theme customizer. And it will most of the time look like this. Each theme will look a little bit different. But close this one and let's go to the front end. If you look here in the WordPress toolbar at the top, you're also going to see the option to customize from here. And this toolbar becomes like a quick link area. Just click here, Customize, because what will happen now when I click on Customize is it's going to open the Blocksy Customizer. And at the same time, it's going to keep this page that I've created in Brizy so that I can view my work and know what I'm doing. Brilliant. Let's start with the header. On the left, you will see we have general options, post types, and then core. Let's look under general options and look for the header. Select it. You have elements and select headers, global header. And I keep clicking on it like crazy. It doesn't want to take me into the settings for the global header. And a light bulb goes up in my head. I haven't installed the Blocksy companion yet. So what the hey is the Blocksy companion? Let's exit the customizer. To save your work, just click Publish and exit by clicking on the X at the top. And it takes you back into, okay, we're in the front page at this moment. From here, let's go to WordPress. Click on the W. And then remember when we went to plugins, you saw that we have this one. Thanks for installing Blocksy, you rock. We strongly recommend you to activate the Blocksy companion plugin. This way you will have access to custom extensions, demo templates, and many other awesome features. And one of those awesome features is the transparent header. So we have to install this. This is an add-on. The reason why it's not part of the theme is because with the theme, they make it very small and very convenient to use. Many people just prefer that. If you want all these additional features, you install the plugin companion and then you get these extra features. Go ahead and click on Install Blocksy Companion. And now here in the sidebar on the left, you'll see that we have a section for Blocksy with a lot of stuff for Blocksy there. But if you go to plugins, you will also note that Blocksy has installed the Blocksy companion. So more and more, we're installing more stuff on our site, right? Gets a little bit frightening. Go to Pages, and we go through this process again. Go to your page, my first try, click on View, and this will take you to the front end of this page. And then from here, we go into the Customizer. You remember, we go to the WordPress toolbar at the top and select Customize. Now we go to our header. Under General Options, select Header, Headers, click on Global Header, and there we go. We select Transparent Functionality. And now, look what it does. It drops it over this hero section that we've created. But we cannot see any of this because that's dark text. And this is all light. And how can we fix that? So what we want to do is we want to change the color of these menu item links. There are, again, a number of ways how you can access it. You can go back to the main settings here and go to your header. And then note that here is what we refer to as the header builder. We have the menu, which is these three menu links that we've added, menu 1. And then we have a search function there. And then we have a logo. That's the logo up here. We'll work with this menu 1 first. You can select menu 1 simply by clicking on it. And then you see the options open here. The first thing we'll do is change the color so we can see it. General, next to General, go to Design, and we change the color. So go and select this blue. And all I will do is select this color number 8, the white one. Make it easy. We put all three of those on white. And there you see, we can see our menu. This is very easy for us. Save your work, click there on Publish. And then select General, so you can have a view here that you can actually have different types of headers. If you want a line, go here to type 4, select that, And as you hover, you will see those blue lines, which we cannot see. What we can do is go to design again, and then here, active indicator color. Let's select that and put it on white. Now, when I hover over my menu, you will see the white lines. Go back to general, and then the items height, which will be those lines, I'll reduce to around 50%. And you see that looks very funky indeed. Next to our menu, we have the search little icon. You can select this one to open the settings, or you can just click here on search within this menu. Let's change the color for that. But after I've done that, the reality is you don't need the search on your website at all. It's just unnecessary. So we remove it. And to remove anything from the header, go here to the main row where the header builder is and click on the delete next to the search little box. And it's gone. It removes it up there. Let's go to the logo. I click on logo. It's not doing anything. Let's click up here. It's also not doing anything. So I'm going to click here on publish. Refresh the page. Often you have to refresh just to get things to go in again a little bit. Let's go here to just another WordPress site and click next to it. And there you go. Opens up the logo for us very easily. You can also find it by just going to header and then select logo here. And that takes you to the logo settings. We don't want a logo because our header is actually already a logo. What I'm going to do then is where you see just another WordPress site, that is actually the site title being displayed there. I'll go here to site title and just deactivate it, and now you see nothing. So the question is, do we need a logo in our header? Not for this tutorial. So go again here to main row and click next to the logo and delete it. What we can do is move around our menu actually. Go to the menu you see over here on the right. Click, hold, and drag it here where you see the little blue dot in the middle and drop it there. And now our menu moves to the middle. Let's click on it so we can go into the settings. And then here where you see item spacing, let's increase that to around 50. Now let's make that a cool 100. So now, oh yeah, all the way to the right is 100. You see we have our 3 options here where we can jump to. And that's how we have gone and created our transparent header. Very basic, but at least you have some idea. A bit overwhelming, I'd say. Click back here and go to the main settings of the customizer, and let's have a look at the footer. The footer appears at the bottom of the page, and as I select footer, it will open the footer builder, very similar to the header builder. Just scroll your page down to the bottom so you can see what's going on. Now there is a copyright section, and it's put in this one called the bottom row. Click on the bottom row, and it will open the settings for the bottom row. I want to have 2 columns here because I want to bring in a menu also in the bottom row. Over here, select 2, and now you will see that it will split into 2. Click on copyright, and here you will see copyright current year, WordPress theme, and then you can say, select all of that, developed by Madman Productions. Okay, we're going to keep it very simple. You can put some copyright in here. It looks very professional. Let's just save, Control S, Command S, or click on Publish here at the top if that isn't working. And now we need to bring in a menu element on the right. To do that, select back here next to Copy, and you will see all the elements that appear that you can use in the footer. Click on the footer menu and drag it, and then drop it in the right column of this column here, which is the bottom row. And once I drop it in, you will see our menu appears there. And remember, when we had created this menu, we told it, this menu can appear on header 1 as well as on the footer menu. Select the footer menu so we can just align it to the right. And that is going to be done here next to horizontal alignment. Select right. Again, you can see there are so many options. There's a lot you can do. You can build out immaculate, stunning looking headers and footers with this. We'll cover that in future tutorials. For now, this is all we want to do here. Publish your page, but something very important. Remember what I told you, every time you think you're done, you're not done. It goes the same for Blocksy. You need to go and look how this will work on a mobile. And here in the bottom is Blocksy's responsive settings. So you see there's one for tablet. We're going to jump straight to mobile. And the mobile is going to look different. So let's scroll to the top first and start with the header. I cannot see anything here because there is that little hamburger icon, and you can see that we cannot see it. If you select it, you will see it opens up this little drawer for us with the quick links. But we need to go and edit it. What we can do is simply click on main row. That's a quick link, and it will open the main row for us. And let's have a look here at this header builder. So there is logo again in the main row, which we're not going to use, so you can delete that. And then here is the trigger. And the trigger is the menu, the mobile menu. But here is the thing. This is the trigger is that hamburger menu. So click on trigger so we can just first change the color so we can see it. Next to general, go to design and change these two to color number 8, which is white. Now we can see it better. What happens if somebody clicks on this is it will open this drawer with these quick links that we've created. We've set up the trigger. You can set it to the right, or you can change how it looks. You can make it bigger. Let's make it bigger. When you click on it, it opens this canvas for us, and that is the mobile menu. You'll notice it here on the left. Select mobile menu, and we make a change here. We go to design, and then for the font color, we can just make this all white. So when people hover it, it will be white. They select it, it's going to jump very quickly to those links. These are just short links. Nothing special here. Maybe even for mobile, you can remove it completely. But this gives you some idea of where this appears within Blocksy. Let's go have a look at the bottom where our footer is. The footer will need to make some changes here. Click on edit. And remember, this is different than the normal display. This is for mobile display. What I think will be a good approach here is to put these in separate rows. So I'll go and click on middle row, and then columns, I'll make it 1. Then I'll grab the footer menu, I'll drag it in there. Let's see, there we go. Click on the footer menu, and next to horizontal alignment, let's put it in the middle. Groovy. After that, select the bottom row, and we put it back on 1. And we'll also put it middle alignment. Oh, go to click on copy, then click on copyright and put it on center alignment. So we align it like so. And now we've set up everything within Blocksy that relates to the theme. Make sure you publish this page by saving it in the top, and then exit the customizer, click on the X. Because we entered this page through the Brizy builder, it will show us the front end again. Let's go to the top and we select About Us, Gallery, and Contact Us. I do note that once we move these around, it seems that the footer is not happy with this kind of layout. So let's just go into Customizer again. I'm not going to leave you out there and not know what to do here. And let's click on this and put all of this on horizontal alignment. And let's just see here at the bottom, put them like so. Great. Middle row. I just want to have a look at the middle row. Click on middle row, vertical row, vertical spacing. There we go. That is just too big for me. So row vertical spacing, let's put it around 40. What did I do? Put it again on 40. Okay, there we go. Much better. We can bring it even down more. Let's take it down to 20. I can hear 20. Let's go and do the same for bottom row, row vertical spacing. We've learned now that. Let's take that to 15. And we've created that. Looks much better. Just click again here on the mobile icon so we can see how it will look in our responsive display. No changes here, but I want to see if I can reduce this as well. Let's go to the middle row. And it's set to 40. So I'm getting the feeling that these are not responsive. Maybe a little glitch within Blocksy. I can speak to the creators on that and just ask their opinion. whether we can do this independently or whether this row vertical height, because if I reduce this now to 20 and I go back to desktop, it's also 20. Wait a minute. I see something here. Let me check. Let's put this back on 40. And I know I'm taking your time, but let's put it back on 40. Click on the mobile and it is selected mobile. So this should be, this is 20 and this is 40. Okay, so now it works. Strange. Previously, I can also select from here. I think it works better to select it from here than at the bottom. When I selected the little mobile at the bottom, it didn't lock that in, but when I did up here, it did. Okay, something that I can work on. Publish, I learned something every day, and exit here. Let's go to the front again and have a look. There we go. Click at the top on Contact Us, and it scrolls to the bottom, and I can click on About Us, and it will scroll back to About Us. One more thing I want to remind you. We used this Roboto. I keep pronouncing it strangely when I hear myself afterwards. I think it's Roboto. Mr. Roboto, not Mr. Roboto. Mr. Roboto. We use the Roboto font for our text, but I don't think this is Roboto. So we have to set up the font also in Blocksy for our menu links in the header. Click in the WordPress toolbar on Customize. And to change that, there's a very simple way of doing it. You go to Typography under General Options and just look at the base font. Click on System Default, and then here where you see the search bar, select and type in Roboto, Mr. Roboto, and go there. And it says here, looks like you've picked a Google font. There are some countries that are not too happy with things you get for free online, and they have a lot of complications with that. We are just doing a tutorial here. So you click here on I understand, don't show this notification again, and click on continue. And the font updates there. Let's make the font size a little bit bigger. That's in our menu. So we have to click back here. And the easiest way from here is to go and click on the little balloon next to the menu link. And then we go to Design, Top Level Design, and click on the pixels. Currently it's at 12. Let's put it on, ooh, that's too big. I'll type in 16. And we can add some letter spacing. Type in 1. Ooh, too much. This is an M. Let's put it in pixels. Select here, put it on pixels. Let's do it again. Mixing the pixels, and we add 5. There we go. And now we save it again. Now we've done everything. Okay, let's close it out. About Us. Nicely done. Some animation. Ooh, find out more takes us to the contact form. And then when we get to the bottom, want to go back to the gallery at the top. Whee! Okay. All of this is done. But finally, we still need a few more changes connected to our website, which we will be doing in WordPress. And that will bring us to the end. This brings us to the last chapter in this crash course. What you're going to do after this is wait a while. And if you see this video later in the future, it will already be ready. And that will be for the WordPress Essential. Essentially, we're going to create another one-pager, but you're going to do a lot of different things. You're going to work with global styling, understand how you work with the color palette, and a lot more additional features. And I think the only way that you can really learn WordPress is to do it again and again and again. But if this page that we've made suits your needs 100% and you're only going to make it once, you're done. And of course, you're going to just swap out the images and the text, and you can play around a little bit in the Brizy builder to have a look at all the other elements, but you're done. However, you're not done. So let's have a look at this. Let's go back into WordPress, and that is done by clicking on the W, and it takes you into the WordPress dashboard. And this is how you navigate between the front end and the back end. But what I want you to do is take your domain name, the URL for your site, which is only this part that I've selected up here. Now that is a very long name, and it's only for this tutorial that I've created it. And I want you to copy that because that's your home address. That's where people will go when they go to your site. And then open a new tab and paste it. And why on earth you want to do that? Because this is your home page. And look what happens when you type that in, it doesn't give you this wonderful coffee shop page we've just created. And here is the thing. You've created this page, but you need to tell WordPress that this page that I've created, this is the page that I want people to see when they type in my website address. And a lot of people get a little bit confused about this because in many builders and online content management systems like Wix and Squarespace, this is automatically done for you. In WordPress, that is one step you have to take. Just note that what you see here is actually the blog, the posts archive. This is a collection of where all the posts will appear. And the reason why WordPress likes to show this as your homepage is because of the history of homepage of WordPress. WordPress started as a blogging site, not so much as a site for websites. It was purely focused on blogging, so its primary focus had always been the blogging. How can we change that to make sure that when people type in my address, they get my coffee site? Go back into WordPress, and then you do that by going to settings and you look for reading. And this is a part that when you start in WordPress that often scares a little bit. Don't try and understand it too much, just follow it. Here it says your homepage displays, and you want to select the second one, a static page. So for your homepage, and then you select this one, my first try. So you see there are two pages that it has identified. I want to select my first try as my homepage. Now don't worry, that name, my first try, will not appear in your title. That is just a name for this page and for WordPress to identify it. You can also go and change it if you want to, but let's leave it like that so you understand what we are working with. And then the golden rule is to save changes. Now you have told WordPress that you want my first try page to be your home page. Let's go to the front end with this tab still open and then refresh. Voila, there you go. There is your page. So finally, now when you take this URL, your domain, and you share it with your family and friends, very proudly the website you've made, they will be able to see it. But we still want to change another few things. Look at the tab here on the top of the browser, and you will see it says just another WordPress site, and then of course it has the website address there. You don't want that. You don't want that title there. You also don't want this little icon there. This you need to go and change. So we go again back into WordPress, and you do that by going to settings and then select general. Just note that these settings I'm showing you now can often be done also in the theme. So Blocksy can also do this for you, but let me show you where in WordPress you can find it. The site title is the name of your shop in most cases, which is the Organic Cafe. Alt 1230, there we go. And then the tagline has to be a very short, precise description of your services, your product, or what the site is about. Best coffee shop in Paris with the finest. This tagline and the site title is very important for search engines like Bing and Chrome and the others. They go through all the websites while you are sleeping and they check them and they find all these keywords so that when people search for this, they know how to recommend it. It's just one step in what we refer to as SEO, but it's important that you at least give your site this identity so you don't look like a novice who doesn't know what they are doing. And then after you have done that, you can go to the bottom and click on Save Changes. Now it will update that. So you will see here where it used to say just another WordPress site, it already says The Organic Cafe. But let's go to the front end and we again refresh our page and you will see it says now The Organic Cafe. And if you hover over it, it will say Best Coffee Shop in Paris with the finest international. So don't make it too long, right? Remember, that little tagline is more for the search engines than it is for other people. And then my website address under it. Now we want to change out that icon, which is referred to often as the site icon, but traditionally it's called a favicon. And that word favicon comes from favorite icon. And actually Microsoft in Internet Explorer was the first to come up with this, so that when you saved something as a favorite bookmark, it saved that little icon next to it so that you can easily identify it. Now, strangely enough, that is done in the theme. And when you do use a standard WordPress theme, that may often appear here, but we don't see it here. So where am I going to upload the favicon? I gave you the clue, it's within the theme. So we have to go into Blocksy, and remember, change the Blocksy theme, customize. Hover over appearance, under themes, select customize. And then here we are going to go to the bottom under core site identity, very similar to what we did. And when I select it, you will see the site title and the tagline. They both appear here. So you could have done it here as well. Now we go ahead and select site icon. Blocksy says we prefer site icon to favicon. And there is the favicon I've included for you within the creative pack. Select it. And then select publish. And you can close out the customizer. We go to the front end, refresh. And there's our little favicon at the top. Brilliant. And you can see it also updates over there. I gave it a little bit of a white background. You've created this page, you've set up WordPress, you installed Blocksy, your theme, you installed Brizy, your page builder, you built out this page, you created a contact form, you made anchor links, you brought in all these images and you set up your text. Are you done? Like I said, if this is all you need, you're done. If you are, interested in going beyond this, there's a lot more to come. If you want to learn how to take full control over the theme and Brizy, there's lots more to come. And if you want to learn how to make a multi-page website, more than one page, how to create a blogging site where you have news and events if you are a traveler, or how to set up your own shop online with a free tool like WooCommerce, or how to sell or set up an online training course. You maybe do yoga or you have something and you want to actually have a course on your website, or how to create a multilingual website. Not just one language, you can have 2, 3 more, or even how to make a knowledge-based site. Wow, all of these options are there and more. And this is where WordPress becomes extremely powerful over all of the other products out there. A lot of them, Squarespace, Brizy Cloud, Wix, do a great job, an amazing job, and they're all in one package. But a lot of this stuff I just mentioned to you gives you flexibility to add all these additional plugins and apps and do more. Enough talk. We've come to the end of this crash course. I hope it was useful. I hope it got you going quickly. There's loads more to do, and that's why I'm happy to bring you the next one in this series, which will be WordPress Essentials. Again, we'll go through our favorite apps, but this time we'll focus on a few other things. From me, JP, take care, and I'll see you around.